I am a robot. I am sustainable. You must die.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, August 11th, 2019. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1163.
This is No Agenda.
Avoiding hot tubs, small aircraft, tall buildings, and broadcasting live from the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Yeah, I'm just going to ignore the whole neighborhood conversation. I know you don't like him. He's dead. Don't worry about it. Mimi hates his sweaters. I get it. The man is not loved.
What are you rambling on about?
I know you don't like Mr. Rogers.
Prattling on.
You don't like Mr. Rogers. A point of order. Point of order.
Point of information.
I'm sorry. Point of information, comrade. I would like to mention the way we work on this show is a novel way. We believe it is the way to go. John and I are pretty much not in contact in between shows during the week, except for some maybe administrative stuff. Maybe there's something we want to make sure the other has seen, but rarely will we talk about what we're working on, what we're collecting.
We should mention that once in a while, not often, we work on a skit.
Yeah, and that always fails.
It always fails, so we don't do it that often.
No, it's
here
usually
goes the Zephyr.
Yeah, very good.
Now that you know.
How many cars?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
10?
and no extra car.
All right. So similarly, I do not know what clips John has. He does not know what clips I have. However, John does his clips the evening before Saturday night, so they come in around 1 or 2 a.m. my time. I don't see them until the morning. Of course, I do download them. I don't listen to them. I do look at the titles to give me a little bit of indication in what area he's been researching. And I'm very happy to see that you have crossed the streams and entered into my my fantastic poly territory, which I like a lot. Actually, that's not the Amazing Polly, I think is her name. So I immediately ceased all production on Amazing Polly clips, so we will get to those, I'm sure.
Isn't it Fabulous Polly? I don't have it.
It's amazing. The Amazing Polly. The Amazing Polly is what she is. The YouTuber, apparently you found as well, who I've been following for weeks and weeks.
Well, she cropped up on the Pechenic feed.
Yeah, that's because he actually has gotten stuff from her. So he tells me.
Yeah, well, it's a dubious source, to say the least.
Well, she's not a source. She's a deconstructionist.
She's less, well, if you want to call her that, I would call her a guilt by association specialist.
Oh yeah, well she does yarn. She does yarn and tax. Colored yarn.
Smear artist, I would say that.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, okay. So this is Sunday, August 11th, the second Thursday show of the week. Typically, the events that occurred yesterday happen on a show day, so it was quite surprising. We had a little bit of time to at least think about it. This is the apparent suicide of Jeffrey Epstein.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, here's the crowd. I was downtrodden, disheartened when I heard this.
Well, considering he's in a federal facility and was on suicide watch, which apparently they dropped, and he was being monitored by cameras, which apparently stopped working, and all the rest. Now, it would be somewhat disheartening. I don't think anybody was too happy about it, Barr in particular.
Well, a couple of things changed. Now, as far as I know, it was ABC and the New York Post who reported this first. I'm always, I had because it happened early in the morning and my phone was just because I was getting text messages from people saying, you got to see this, you got to see what's happening. And so that was kind of handy that we could immediately see who was responding first and what they were saying? And no doubt it was the same everywhere. I think ABC, though, was the first. And not only did they kind of start off the messaging, but they also changed a couple things. How have we always heard Epstein being described? The billionaire, financier, hedge fund manager. Then, of course, all of the alleged assaults. So ABC just came out with this, and I was like, okay.
Wait, so sources tell ABC News Jeffrey Epstein took...
So for them to report sources, and it came out very fact of the matter, everyone had, according to sources, no name, no official statement. Have we ever really seen an official statement from the Metro Correction Facility? I don't even think...
That's a good question, because I don't remember.
I don't recall seeing one either. So the message was put out very distinctly.
Wait, so sources tell ABC News Jeffrey Epstein took his own life. The exact timing and circumstances are unclear right now, but the mega millionaire is...
Now, notice this. We've gone from billionaire financier to mega millionaire. He's gotten a downgrade.
He's accused of exploiting and abusing dozens of minor girls. He'd been on suicide watch in a New York City jail. You'll remember he was found unresponsive in his cell last month with marks on his neck. Initially,
just to make sure we keep these corrections going on.
It's not true.
It's not a New York City jail.
It was also not found unresponsive a couple weeks ago. He was found complaining of his neck being hurt. I don't think he was unresponsive.
Yeah.
His cell last month with marks on his neck. Initially, investigators thought he'd tried to take his own life. They were then looking into whether he was assaulted by another inmate or if he'd even paid someone to beat him up. Epstein's attorneys had been fighting to get him out on bail, but a judge refused. Prosecutors argued the mega millionaire's lifestyle and wealth made him an extreme flight risk.
Now, again, mega millionaire. Just interesting to see that change.
Another couple of things we should note. Assaulted by another prisoner.
Yeah.
This particular jail allows mixing of prisoners, and you can find out kind of what this place is like, believe it or not, by the Yelp reviews.
How many stars does it get as a lockup facility?
It gets between one. A lot of guys just give it 1 star, and then a lot of people give it 4 stars,
really?
5 stars, thinking it's not a bad place to be locked up.
Oh, they've got to be paid Yelpers. You know how that goes. They get paid.
It's a possibility,
to do that. Yes.
But I don't see anybody being advertising boosting it. But there are Yelp reviews, and it describes the place as being almost impossible to even see any other prisoners, let alone be assaulted by one.
So this news was so big that they immediately had to get our guy, the constipated reporter, Tom Yamas, get him on the phone.
It's not Tom Yamas. It's Pagades who's the constipated.
Well, Yamas sounds pretty constipated here, too.
This also follows news just yesterday of one of his associates, a separate court case, but one of the Epstein accusers coming out and naming names of some very prominent businessmen and politicians who have all denied that they did anything inappropriate. But they started to name names. These names started to come out in the public. And
now, this is a little confusing because there's a couple things going on. There is a new woman who is speaking out, Jennifer Arose, I think her name is, and she's new on the scene. At the same time, there were actual new documents that were disclosed.
1,000 pages.
2,000, yeah, and that included Bill Richardson, former governor of New Mexico.
That's where the names came from. Who specifically, according to Yamas, does he say who was naming names? Because every time I've seen interviews with all these women, they'll kind of beat around the bush, but they never name names.
No, I don't think I've seen it either.
They're all listed. They're on that document. That's where the names.
That's where the names came from. But he's saying it came from this new woman.
They started to name names. These names started to come out in the public, and one of the associates, it was thought of that some of these Epstein associates were going to be brought in and possibly charged criminally. So the case was only getting bigger. So many young girls allegedly abused by Jeffrey Epstein thought they finally were going to see justice. They thought they were going to see him rot in a jail cell. It's unclear at this point what they're thinking today, if this indeed is justice. But Jeffrey Epstein, the monster that they painted, is no more.
And he had one other short piece of information.
Well, the criminal case against Jeffrey Epstein personally obviously is over, But if they go after some of his associates, you have to remember there are allegations out there that several women worked with Jeffrey Epstein to procure some of these young girls, essentially madams, if you will. So far, none of these women have been charged criminally yet, but there is thinking that the U.S. attorney may go after some of these people. So the criminal case, though it's not even there yet, could continue in that direction. There are also civil cases, because you got to remember, Jeffrey Epstein is worth at least $500 million.
All right. So, yes, apparently this does not necessarily hamper other investigations. We don't really know exactly, although I've seen some legal opinions that no one can challenge a search warrant now because Epstein is dead. I really don't know. I think in America you can do a lot with the legal system and delay a lot of things. But I am personally quite interested in Ghislaine Maxwell, and no one really seems to. There's a lot of saying madams, handlers, pimps. Maybe you'll hear Maxwell, not even the first name. Of course, it's almost impossible for most Americans to pronounce. Where is she? I think she is a person of tremendous interest. But we'll have to just keep batting back and forth for several weeks about Epstein. Did he hang himself? Was he killed? Was it the Clintons? And to me, it doesn't matter. And I'm happy. I think we should probably discuss it a little bit, but then we just have to agree this guy is out of the picture, and there's not much else.
Well, unless he's banned.
I personally think this was more an extraction, possibly, than anything. But
I think there's a possibility of that. I like the extraction idea because, as you just mentioned, the one aspect to it I didn't consider, which is where's the official statement?
Yeah, we haven't seen no official, as far as I know, no official statement except for Barr, who said he was appalled to hear of this and he's going to do something about it. And pretty much immediately, this was politicized. Obviously, the Clinton body count had been trending for a while. And so this only helped that meme. I liked the opposing politicization. Let me see if I can find it here. Where is she? Yes, this is Joy Reid, our favorite from MSNBC.
This is somebody who not only is high profile, who not only knew a lot of high profile people, whose papers just came out of court, just to let out some of the documents related to his cases that name high profile people, who was friends with the current president of the United States, who flew the previous president of the United States around on his plane, who is alleged to have trafficked girls to a member of the royal family of Britain. Okay, this is on the same level like a Bill Cosby. This is a famous person who's now in prison. He knows a lot about a lot of people. And as you said earlier, his only out at this point would be to talk about those people. So he's in this very vulnerable situation. And then you throw in the fact, which I did not know until, thank God, Stephanie Gosk is sitting here and told me this, that this is now a facility under the control of the Department of Justice. And this Department of Justice does not exactly inspire confidence. Let's just be blunt. William Barr's Justice Department is not one that you can readily simply rely upon and feel confident in. And so what do we make of all this now that in this federal facility, this person was allowed to be alone long enough to either harm himself or be killed by someone? We don't know what happened, right? We just don't know.
So the implication, if you're on Twitter for more than 30 seconds, you'll see that, and it has an Occam's razor ring to it, that because, and there is no evidence that Trump flew on planes except one ferry flight back from Miami to New York when it was just him, I think, and the pilots. I don't think he's...
the flight log shows there's about 6 people on there.
When Trump was on it?
Yeah.
Oh, and were they going from Miami to New York? That's what I
didn't see where it was going. I just saw somebody, one of the lib Joes had cut it out and showed, look who's on this plane. Trump's on a plane.
Okay, so
Trump's on a plane.
Yeah, so he was on the plane. There's statements contrary to him being involved in. And by the way, can we say children instead of young girls or underage girls?
Well, to me, a child is a 10-year-old. A 15-year-old is a girl.
Yeah. All right. Good luck with that.
So I wouldn't call a 15-year-old a child, like a 10-year-old.
I call a 15-year-old a child.
Well.
All right. Fine. You call them girls, I'll call them children. But the Occam's razor aspect of it is, Trump clearly, because in 2002, he even said, Epstein, great guy. He loves to party with girls on the younger side, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he disowned himself from this guy's even knowing him.
That doesn't matter because
over 15 years. Well, especially doesn't matter if you listen to, and you think that Joy Reid was bad? You think that was bad?
You got a topper?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so let me just let me just finish the thought. Just finish this crazy thought, which is just as valid as any other crazy one. If you watch that movie, is Trump through Barr, who, as we know, is not the Attorney General of the United States. He is the Attorney General for the President. We've been told this over and over and over again. So I have to believe that now, that he put out the secret signal and said, all right, it's time to off Epstein. Totally plausible. And a very simple explanation. So I have compassion for people who believe conspiracy theories. I don't think this is the right one, but I understand where people come from with this. That if
my favorite one of these off the wall kind of Occam's razor things is Scott Adams. He just put this out recently. Oh, his Occam's razor was this: bunch of incompetent boneheads running this prison. The guy kills himself,
and that's also a perfectly valid explanation.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not buying it, but yeah, that's all of that.
Well, if it wouldn't be the no agenda show if we were buying any of this stuff.
No, of course not. But it's good to look at all aspects before we just decide to move on. The guy's not in the picture. He's gone.
So in July of this year, Amy Goodman interviewed Vicky Ward, who for some unknown reason you've been condemning on Twitter.
Well, I'll tell you shortly why.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. But I have 4 clips up. They're mostly short, but the beginning clip, which doesn't really involve Vicky Ward, is the example that I have that tops Joy Reid when we know that Trump hasn't spoken to Epstein for 15 years and maybe more. And the last reference to him saying anything about Epstein is in 2002. But yet Amy really makes it sound like they're best buds. Here it is.
Jeffrey Epstein has counted Presidents Donald Trump and Bill Clinton among his friends. They've flown with him. Trump told New York Magazine in 2002, I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side, Trump said about his friend Jeffrey Epstein. Again, this was before all the charges were brought.
About his friend Jeffrey Epstein, as though they're like bosom buddies.
Yeah.
This is a classic example of Amy's bigotry when it comes to reporting on Trump. I mean, this is unconscionable as far as I'm concerned.
It's you can call it bad reporting. You can call it lying.
Sorry?
You can call it bad reporting. You can call it lying. You can call it framing. You can call it anything but objective reporting.
Yeah, it just, to me, is why Amy Goodman is not really it should not even be considered a journalist. Anyway, okay, so why don't you begin? I have plenty of stuff.
Well, let me tell you about Vicky Ward. So I got turned on to the Vicky. I heard Vicky Ward. She started to pop up on some. I'm always watching MSNBC and stuff during the day, but she was popping up on CNN. In fact, she got hired by CNN just a few weeks ago. And then I started to find interviews of her talking about how she wrote the initial expose in 2002 or 2003 for Vanity Fair. I believe it was Vanity Fair. And she went to her editor, and her editor said, "No, you got to take all this underage girl shit out. This is no good. It's just hearsay." This is her story. So it became much more of a financial profile of Epstein. And now she's saying, well, I warned you all about it. And I think there was a couple things she wrote in 2008, 2009, when the really light sentence came down on Epstein. And as I'm searching around, and this is probably the same time I found Amazing Polly, I see her as like an it girl in New York high society type parties. And she's always hanging out with Ghislaine Maxwell, even though she's very condemning of Ghislaine Maxwell and all these interviews that she's been doing, since 2009 and since she had written about Epstein and everything that happened. I'm like, well, what is she doing palling around? It's this kind of weird. So when she tweeted yesterday, oh, don't worry, Ghislaine Maxwell knows more. Like, what up, girl? You know her. You're partying with her. You're pretending that you're buddies with her. So you tell me what's going on. Of course, she doesn't answer because I'm just a crackpot blowing in the wind. And I think that's where I saw more background, or got some background from the Polly videos. And I find her to be a very interesting character. She doesn't seem to have any real background, yet she's written books about Wall Street fraud and all kinds of interesting topics. And her, I guess it is her ex-husband, I think his boss, her ex-husband's boss, was Maxwell's nephew or something. There's a connection there. There's always they always have they always have a connection from one to the next, and so that's why I kind of leave it to the YouTubers to do all that. But Vicky Ward is a person of interest to me, and I hope you have some interesting things.
Well, first of all, I saw what you were doing, and so I just immediately went to work. And now
I'm glad I could inspire you.
I've been suckered.
You fell into my trap. Looking for Vicky Ward. No, I'm sure you're
it's quite possible that actually did happen. All right. Vicky Ward is a very transparent character. She goes back into the 90s, and she's always been a very extremely accomplished writer and something of a workaholic. And so she's but she doesn't crank out so many books and enough books with enough inside scoop to make me think that in any way she's MI6, which is what The Amazing Polly implies, which is bullshit. There's no way. I went back and listened to her. She's been on TV a lot. I'll give you her whole story. She graduated from Cambridge, and she wanted to become a journalist. She became a newspaper writer in London for I think the Daily Standard, the Telegraph. She bounced around, became an editor for a while. She's very good at what she did, and she married this guy and she writes a very long essay on her divorce that ran in 2011. She marries this guy who she probably shouldn't have married, and they never got along, and they were pretty much separated by 2011 when they finally got divorced. And he's the one who drug her out of England because he's a nephew of Conrad Black. And
Black, that's right, not Maxwell. Black, yes, I'm sorry.
Yes. Conrad Black, he said, come on, kid, you join my operation out here. I'm in Canada and the United States. Just moved. They had him move to New York. She didn't want to do it. She moved to New York. But because of her, and if she's anything, if you want to say she's something odd, she might be a lizard.
Can I just interject one crazy yarn connecting conspiracy data point?
Sure.
Conrad Black, about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, was pardoned by President Trump.
Right.
That was interesting.
Conrad Black was.
That was interesting.
Was railroaded anyway, so
doesn't matter.
He should have been pardoned.
All of a sudden, it's just the timing of it is always fun.
Well, her relationship to Conrad Black was dubious because she never worked for any of his magazines that I know of. She may have worked for the Post for a while, and then she quit. But she comes over here, and she kind of, because she's got she's British, and she kept her accent. She never even tried to get rid of it. She became one of the many British women over here that fit right into the upper classes structure. In fact, she wrote a whole book on the Astors, or at least a long article. And she fit right in. She has the look. She has the perfect kind of that socialite look. She's also,
up until recently, she had a nonprofit that worked with the United Nations, and she's in all kinds of, just like Angelina Jolie, special United Nations programs. And there's the woman who's the direct descendant of Queen Victoria, who's on her board. I mean, she's really in the British society.
But it's not the British society. It's the American
British society. Yes. The outcasts.
It's our social thing, and the British are so welcome because they fit right in. And even though in Britain she was a newspaper girl,
yeah.
She did a bunch of books, and all the books tend to be celebrity. She really, if anything, is a celebrity reporter. She roamed in and out of various kinds of, celebrity circles and met a lot of people, and she would run into Ghislaine Maxwell numerous times, but she wasn't hanging out with her. There's no evidence of that. And there's some MI6 connection that happened in 2011, according to Amazing Polly, but she was not even associating with her husband by that time. Very well described in her discussion in the magazine article that she wrote for the Daily Mail about her divorce.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is this Jeffrey Epstein thing breaks. And she did have a couple of pieces about the girls in that article. All of a sudden, out of the blue. Now, the question in my mind is she is so out of the blue. She says, well, I warned everybody. She's something of a phony. She's kind of like a Kitty Kelly type of writer who maybe makes things up now and again. Very well-structured writer. If she wanted to really bring out anything in 2003 when she ran that article, she could have shopped it someplace else if she wanted to. She could have done a Ronan Farrow didn't put up with no for an answer over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So she wasn't that serious about these. She had some information.
If it was even true at all.
Maybe not.
It's just her words saying that they cut it out.
It's possible. But Graydon Carter did come out with a statement.
Okay.
He says that it wasn't well presented, and he just thought it should be cut out. So he did cut it out. So she didn't make that up necessarily. But the circumstances of him cutting it out may have been due, according to her, when I have some clips of her bitching about it, only now bitching about it. I think the following happened. Personally, from looking at her career and what kind of a writer she is and who she hangs out with and her celebrity status in that social structure that we know nothing of. We have no idea. Those things show up in Town and Country, the people that are at these parties. Those photos are all over the place. It's like the Palm Beach, Florida social set. I don't know who any of those people are, but they all seem to know each other. I believe the following happened with her, no matter what everybody says. She wrote this piece on Epstein, and she had some stuff. She had some hints about the girls.
This is the 2002 piece.
In 2000, she wrote it in 2002. It ran in 2003. That was cut out. It was turned into a financial piece, which she admits, and it seemed to be written that way to begin with. All of a sudden, this thing breaks, the Epstein stuff, and she says, and people have to say, look, you did a whole piece on this guy. You know this Ghislaine Maxwell. There's photos of her with you. What did you? What? And so she's covering her ass.
Yes.
By saying, "Oh yeah, well I had this and I did this." She was clueless. She's a celebrity reporter. She didn't know that Epstein was running anything.
Yeah, but hold on. So all I'm saying is, why would she, 9 years after the fact, even want to be? Okay, so there's no evidence they were partying, but they were at the same parties and taking pictures together. I know how it works. The photographer comes by and says, "Hey, take a picture," because you're talking, and then you all, 2 or 3 people, you stand together, take them up. But why? Why? If she knows all this, and I have a clip from her just yesterday. She sure does. She sure did then. In 2011, 2014, there's pictures of her with Maxwell. Of course she knew that then. She writes about it.
She writes about everything after the fact. The issue here is what happened in 2003, where she got her piece was like
no. I'll be quiet, but I disagree.
Right
in 2009, she definitely knew that Maxwell was involved because that's in the document. She, all of the accomplices were protected by the deal that was signed. She knew it in 2009, like everybody else. That's my point. Yet 2011, 2014, she's taking pictures with her. That's my point. She knew it in 2009. We knew it in 2009. It's been in the press since 2009.
Well, okay, we knew it in 2009. She knew it in 2009. So what? What does that got to do with her being a bad actor or MI6?
I didn't say that.
No, that's what your buddy Famous Polly said.
Yeah, but I didn't say that. I'm just going for simple stuff.
Let's go to Amazing Polly.
To talk about what led up to Epstein's most recent arrest and what comes next.
But actually,
I'm sorry.
Stay with that. Amy interviews Ward 2.
Okay.
To talk about what led up to Epstein's most recent arrest and what comes next, we're joined by Vicky Ward, an investigative journalist who profiled Jeffrey Epstein for Vanity Fair in 2003 in a piece headlined "The Talented Mr. Epstein." The magazine's editor at the time, Graydon Carter, cut out the testimonies of two young women Epstein allegedly molested who'd spoken to Ward on the record, one of them underage. Ward wrote about what happened with her Epstein reporting for the Daily Beast in an article headlined, "I tried to warn you about sleazy billionaire Jeffrey Epstein" in 2003. Welcome back to Democracy Now! It's great to have you with us, Vicky.
Thanks.
So for people who do not understand who this man is, he's referred to as billionaire hedge fund manager Jeffrey Epstein. Who is he, and what do you believe he is being charged with right now? The indictment is about to be opened.
So I don't think he's a hedge fund manager. He is certainly very wealthy. There is great mystery as to how he actually made his money. He tells people that he takes a percentage, and he advises billionaires only. He won't take anyone poorer than a billionaire, and he takes a cut, which adds up to a lot of money. This, when I investigated him in 2002, really turned out to be untrue. What was interesting was that the man who claimed to have sort of taught Jeffrey many financial tricks, and who claims to this day that Jeffrey has his money, is a gentleman by the name of Steve Hoffenberg, who went to jail for 20 years for committing the biggest Ponzi scheme pre-Bernie Madoff.
Okay.
I didn't even know about that, so she had that uncovered, which doesn't surprise me. Okay, let's go to clip 2.
Vicky Ward, you were doing the first pieces back in 2008. How old are your twin daughters right now?
Twin sons, 16.
Twin sons,
Yes.
16 years old.
Yes.
So that is very significant because you were pregnant at the time you were doing this piece.
Yes.
Can you describe what happened to you when you wrote this piece? You spoke to Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, multiple times. Multiple times. He wheeled out, all these important bankers and academics and financiers to talk to me. And he would call me all the time, but he would threaten me. He would talk, and then he would say, Vicky, if I don't like this piece, something's going to happen to your unborn children. And he would sort of say it lightly, but I went to the magazine's general counsel at the time.
Do you actually put security on them in the NICU?
When they came early, he had asked me what hospital they were going to be born at. So I actually did put security on them. They were born 2 months prematurely.
Oh, that was kind of creepy.
Yes.
And so then we go to the last part where she discusses the Graydon Carter incident.
Plausible. He had his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who very charming, well-educated British sort of socialite around New York.
This is very significant. She's the daughter of Robert Maxwell, former owner of the New York Daily News.
So Ghislaine was the one who phoned these young women's mother to reassure her how safe they would be. And because, of course, the poor mother now blames herself terribly for what happened. I talked to, there were numerous people. The artist Eric Fischel was a friend of the older daughters.
You back it up. Stop.
Yeah.
Couple of things. You want to back up a little bit.
Where's she in the timeline, by the way?
Okay, she's in the timeline of two girls who Epstein was assaulted. They were younger, that wanted to go to college, and he was going to pay for their college. And Ghislaine, they had to move in and do stuff to him.
Yep.
And Ghislaine was the salesperson who talked the moms into letting this happen.
Right, but when did that happen? When did she know about it? That's all I'm curious about. Is that
this is right from the 2003 era?
Okay, yeah, okay. So she knew. So
this was she knew back then supposedly.
That something
but she
was
has
up.
a tell, I think.
Because
there's some stuff I think she's in the same category again as Kitty Kelly and some of these other. Michael Wolff is in this category, very famous kind of celebrity writers who known to make stuff up. Michael Wolff has got all these Trump books. A lot of the stuff is bullshit.
Yeah. Yes.
If not all of it.
Yeah.
But
So what's
I
the tell?
believe that Vicky's in the same category of writer, and I think her tell is the use of the word "and" twice in a row. Instead of saying "and," she says "and."
Ooh, interesting.
Plausible. He had
She
his
does that, I think, 2 or 3 times in the piece.
girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who very charming, well-educated British sort of socialite around New York.
This is very significant. She's the
Yes.
daughter of Robert Maxwell, former owner of the New York Daily News.
So Ghislaine was the one who phoned these young women's mother to reassure her how safe they would be. And because, of course, the poor mother now blames herself terribly for what happened. And, you know, I talked to, there were numerous people. The artist Eric Fischel was a friend of the older daughters. They all verified, they remembered these 2 women recounting their trauma at the time. So brave. We all go through this, and then to suddenly find at the 11th hour that somehow Jeffrey got to the editor of the magazine. This story was being pulled.
Wait a second. He came into Condé Nast's offices?
He came in. I was not told about this. He came in. He had a private meeting with the magazine's then editor, Graydon Carter, after which I was informed that Graydon believed Jeffrey Epstein. I was told that Jeffrey Epstein had told Graydon that he was, quote unquote, sensitive about the women. And so they would be pulled from the story, so it would now be a business story. And
about what? A business story?
Well, it was a business story that explained that Jeffrey Epstein was not who he claimed to be in his professional life. But the very powerful, awful stories of what happened to these women got taken out. And
these girls, are they involved?
So the tell is after she lies. That's the way I'm reading it.
I can't say for sure one way or the other. I mean, there's some truth in whatever she's talking about. I think she's maybe, for example, the Graydon Carter story itself, which may be where the and comes from afterwards.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. That's kind of how I
very
picked it.
dubious in her part. Carter is considered one of the greatest editors in the history of magazines.
Oh, well, that's suspicious right there then.
Well, this doesn't mean he's not susceptible to pressure. There's some reports that the story she's telling is not actually accurate, and Epstein didn't show up to talk to Carter. He showed up with a bunch of high-powered lawyers.
Yeah.
Telling him, look, you can run this if you want, but you're going to be sued out of existence as a magazine. And I don't think your bosses at Condé Nast are going to be too appreciative of the kind of troubles you're going to cause if you run this piece. And
so much for being one of the best editors. What kind of pussy editor is that?
A guy who's smart.
Let's listen to her tell again.
But the very powerful, awful stories of what happened to these women got taken out. And
these girls, are they involved with the case that's being opened today, where he's being brought into a Manhattan court?
I don't know. I have heard. I have not confirmed that. I have. One source has told me that possibly they are, which for me would be
16 years later.
16 years later, because one of the things that has haunted me is that there I was trying to expose this man in 2003, and the first FBI investigation, the one that got neutered by Alexandra Acosta, didn't begin until 2006. So it's always been on my conscience that for 3 years he molested hundreds of sort of helpless, poor women who were in no position to fight back against him.
So I just want to go back to, because you made a pretty interesting statement, that Graydon Carter is one of the great all-time magazine editors. I'm paraphrasing, but that's how it came across. Should this guy not be hanging his head in shame for rejecting one of the biggest stories of our lifetime? Should he not be taken down a notch or two?
With his comment, no, not necessarily.
Because
you can't run a story like that unless it's rock solid.
Well, I never saw the original, so I don't know.
Well, he did, and she wrote it, and I wonder if it was rock solid. His claim is simple. The story was not rock solid. And when you're an editor at that level with a magazine which is a high-paying magazine, I mean, this is the big leagues, this is the major leagues. Everything has to be pretty much battened. The hatches have to be battened down. You can't put anything out there that's going to cause trouble.
Did Amy try to move this towards someone else? Did she try to pin it on Trump while she was having this conversation?
Whole thing was it's Trump. Trump did it.
Wanted to make sure.
Trump was actually the editor.
I want to make sure it's Democracy Now! We're listening to and not some fake program. All right.
So is that the end of that clip?
Yes.
So.
I have I have a current clip from Vicky Ward, who is now a correspondent for CNN.
Current. This is from July of this year.
Right, but I have one from this morning.
And now what has led to these charges of sex trafficking, of teenagers. This is part of that big network.
It is part of the big network. And I think, Frederica, that what had so many people interested and on the edge of their seats about this, what would have been Jeffrey Epstein's trial, but that still really matters, is the trial, if you like, of the ecosystem. Because don't forget, the original indictment talked about a conspiracy. There have been many other important, powerful names brought up in connection with this case. Former President Bill Clinton, the lawyer Alan Dershowitz, the financier Leon Black, Les Wexner, the retailer, last week saying, I gave Jeffrey Epstein power of attorney, but I discovered in 2007 he stole millions and millions from me. Yeah. But it begs the question, then why did Leslie Wexner not go to the authorities? And I think that the fact that the case still is going to sort of go forward means that all the people connected to it, after all, it was a conspiracy, should still...
Let me back that up for a second. There's been no official word that the case is going... This was yesterday. No official word the case is going forward. She states that as fact.
The fact that the case still is going to sort of go forward means that all the people connected to it, after all, it was a conspiracy, should still think that they're going to be questioned, because they will be.
Some of the attorneys for these accusers have said that even in his death, they will continue to pursue avenues to find those responsible, whether they're co-conspirators. You mentioned, Maxwell, whose name, appears, but that this case is not dead because Jeffrey Epstein is.
Listen, they're telling her to say something. I'm just hearing it now. You can hear, this is Frederica Wilson, I think her name, on CNN. She's an airhead. You can hear them telling her what to say or not to say. Listen.
There are co-conspirators. You mentioned, Maxwell, whose name, appears, but that this case is not dead because Jeffrey Epstein is. For now. All right, Vicky Ward, thank you so much for your time.
Another thing you're noticing is that, and I have a clip from Vicky Ward from 2007, which is the earliest thing I can find. She has developed this kind of socialite stammering that apparently the reason she has it is because she caught it. It's like a disease. Because when you hear her in 2007, she doesn't have it. She has it now. And it's so contagious that this woman that is interviewing her is now picking it up.
I'll play.
And she's stammering.
Here's the 2007 clip.
Let's get a background first on Brooke Astor. Tell us a bit about who she is and how she became so wealthy and such a great philanthropist.
Brooke Astor came into her fortune actually almost by accident. She was married 3 times. First, very unhappily, next to the love of her life, a man named Buddy Marshall, and her young son, Tony, from her first marriage, actually took his stepfather's surname, Tony Marshall. And when she was in her 40s, she found herself widowed, and that was when she really got to know the very, very wealthy Vincent Astor, who was a grumpy, pretty miserable man Their marriage lasted 5 years, and when Vincent Astor died, to Brooke Astor's enormous surprise, he left her all his money. And she set about carving a character for herself that really didn't exist before and hasn't existed since. She gave away more money to more charities than I think New York has ever seen, and she did so in a style that was unprecedented and unrivaled.
Well, where was the stammering?
None.
Zero. Huh. Interesting.
Now, another thing that does cause stammering is unsureness.
Lying?
Or lying, or talking about something. She knows the Astor story and went on NPR and just came right out.
Not a problem.
She doesn't know. I still think this is a cover, that she wanted to reinsert herself into the story because she did write that piece in 2003. There's no doubt about it. There it is. But she's been kind of out of the picture regarding it. And now she gets a gig on CNN, and she gets herself back in the news, and she's floating around. She gets to promote her book, which is her newest book, which is the Kushner Inc. book, which is another kind of a slam against Jared Kushner. And she obviously, I don't know if she's run into her in New York in the party scene or whatever, she hates Ivanka.
Ooh.
And I do have a clip of that, but let's finish this thing you've got where you get the stammering going back and forth every which way.
It was over. It was the end.
Oh, it was over.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell.
Sorry.
But
yeah.
But here she is. This is the clip I just thought was interesting.
Hold on one second. Hold on. So in that most recent report, she mentioned every other possible. She keeps saying it's a conspiracy. This is a conspiracy. The fact that the other people will be investigated, she states that as fact. And so I'm just saying she may be a great writer, but she's pretty shitty because I don't know about it being a fact yet. Certainly not yesterday. And she doesn't mention Trump, which is either a glaring mistake or
well, it is
on purpose.
She's going to keep that gig on CNN. I bet you she's not there for more than 6 months.
If she's not talking about Trump being complicit, no, it's not going to work for her. But
she doesn't get.
But
that
she does. Part. So this book about Kushner Inc., which I have not read it. I've seen the cover. I know what Kushner's doing with Win Red. I don't know about anything else, and except for all the stories. So she does not like Kushner nor Ivanka Kushner.
She doesn't like Ivanka mostly, and I don't know, but you can tell it in her voice. She discusses this on MSNBC when they're talking about her book, and you can tell it in her voice. There's some disdain, and I'm not sure what it is. It may be the possibility. Excuse me. It may be the possibility that she, as a British
what?
It just has a dislike for her. That's visceral. You've had that. Somebody you just really don't like her, and she just slams her in this piece. I thought this was quite an interesting. Now I don't know where she got this information, or even if it's true. It may have been picked up by research. I don't think it was an intelligence source. I just don't see it. I've looked at because I had the sense that you might have been going after as an intelligence asset.
Why are you stammering? This is worrying me now.
So let's just play this clip.
That at the end of the day, the president's great Achilles heel is actually his daughter. That he had said to John Kelly, when General Kelly became Chief of Staff, that he really wanted them gone. He doesn't like it when people other than himself draw negative attention to the White House. It's fine if he tweets something and that creates a firestorm. It's not fine if somebody else reflects poorly on him. He hated their misuse of private emails because that was something that he'd gone after Hillary Clinton with. So he said to General Kelly, get rid of them. They waffle on issues, send them back to New York, make their life so miserable they want to quit. And, General Kelly was successful. If you look at the period when he was Chief of Staff, Jared and Ivanka were very, very quiet during that period. It's the president who couldn't pull the trigger. And I think that shows that ultimately Ivanka, more so than Jared. Jared is there because he's her husband. But the president cannot say no to his daughter, which means that this White House is essentially a family business.
Well, she's got some of the talking points there.
I liked it.
Well, some of them are good.
She's no slouch, but
let's move forward to this year and move away from Vicky Ward. I don't think we're going to get much more except keeping our eye on her, and I still want to know where Ghislaine Maxwell is. Of course, hours after this reporting came out, I was kind of waiting for, okay, what are we going to hear from the president? And here's the Chuck Gregory Todd talking about the Trump tweet.
A few hours after the news of Epstein's death, President Trump waded in, sharing an unfounded conspiracy theory, speculating about how the financier may have died. The President of the United States retweeted a conservative commentator and comedian who wrote, quote, "How does this happen? Jeffrey Epstein had information on Bill Clinton, and now he's dead." Again, the president retweeted that. Chuck Todd is NBC's political director.
So, mind you, a comedian, but okay.
And moderator of Meet the Press. Chuck, good morning. I wish you and I could sit here and say we're surprised that the president retweeted that, but right away jumping to a conspiracy theory about his opponent in the last election and his family.
Willie, think about what Donald Trump has done to American mass communication over the last 2 years. I quite frankly am appalled and embarrassed by the amount of responsible people that have jumped right into a conspiracy theory on this. Yes, the president is sort of leading the irresponsible charge here, but there's a lot of people on social media. I mean,
the tweets, this was just a classic Trump retweet. So what? It's not anything more than that. He thought it was funny. I thought it was funny.
Yeah. But
why do these guys think it's funny?
Well, why don't you ask your LibJoe friends? I'm sure they're all over this in the same way that Chuck Todd is. Of course.
He's taking this too seriously. These people are idiots.
Now, this morning, you probably saw this. Share Blue is this as kind of an outgrowth of Media Matters, and it's techno experts. It's trolls. It's trolls who go around and troll stuff, and mainly to troll the takedown advertisers of, they're cancel people or cancel culture. Now, the first thing I didn't know is that David Brock is no longer running it. This is new. Allison Gervin is the new CEO of Share Blue, and he's an NBC News executive.
I thought Brock was running Media Matters, never Share Blue.
Oh yeah, it's an outgrowth of Media Matters. Share Blue is big. That's a lot of money goes into that. And so I did not know that this guy had taken over just last month, and he headed NBC News' business, tech, and media unit.
What's his name?
Allison, Allison, Gervin, Girvin.
And that's a guy's name?
It's a guy, yeah, it's a guy. Yeah, I'm sure he's elitist. And they had a message for their trolls, which they call stalwarts, the Share Blue stalwarts. And I'll read this. So this is what goes out to the online techno expert trolls who are supposed to go and do something. And it looks like it's a pretty well organized outfit. Stalwarts. By now, most of you will have seen the recent news regarding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. Already, the news is being used by far-right activists to spread smears and conspiracy theories on social. God, I wish I could talk like that on social.
Well, if you could talk like that, you'd be selling merch.
Despite being both harmful and untrue, it says, but I'm sure he meant untrue. There's clearly wow, that's a tell, isn't it? If you misspell untrue. There's clearly a very concerted effort from the right to reach the public consciousness. As you can see on your dash, the past few hours have seen a rapid swell in far-right disinformation. So they have some kind of dashboard known as a dash, capital D, where they can see, I guess, stats on the right-wing trolls. I'd love to see some of this.
I'd like to get the dash.
As such, we need as many. This is well written. As such, we need as many stalwarts as we can to counteract this, promote our own messaging, and discredit the claims being made.
Oh, God.
You can find the keynotes regarding Jeffrey Epstein at your dash and navigate to the appropriate conversation. As this is a breaking story, the keynotes, I guess that's their talking points, are currently bare bones. Any stalwarts who can help in adding to them would be greatly appreciated. It is of the utmost importance we act fast and face these smears head on with the correct messaging. Currently, the messaging so it says, currently that is, do not. So this is what the dash says you should do not do. Do not deny the possibility of foul play. Do not excuse Epstein of his potential crimes or doubt the validity of his guilt. Do not link to the current court documents regarding Epstein or use them in constructing your argument, because, boy, that would be crazy. However, wow. Yeah, isn't that great? Sympathize with the potential victims of Epstein. Do remind people of the prior allegations of President Trump, talking subject 14C. Do remind people of Trump's prior quotes regarding Epstein and their proven interactions, subject 34, live article, currently bare bones. Do remind people of the power that the President of the United States holds in comparison to members of the public. And 5, as always, roll con, uppercase ROLCON. Once again, we need as many stalwarts active as possible. Roll con is not that hard to figure out once you search around. It means play the role of conservatives. So pretend to be a conservative.
Oh, lie. Use
these talking points. Don't point to the original document and implicate Trump. That's great. This guy comes from NBC News, so I'm all in. I think now with that in mind, let's listen to this article again.
A few hours after the news of Epstein's death, President Trump waded in, sharing an unfounded conspiracy theory, speculating about how the financier may have died. The President of the United States retweeted a conservative commentator and comedian who wrote, quote, "How does this happen? Jeffrey Epstein had information on Bill Clinton, and now he's dead." Again, the president retweeted that. Chuck Todd is NBC's political director.
Okay, let's see if Todd can get all the dew points right.
And moderator of Meet the Press. Chuck, good morning. I wish you and I could sit here and say we're surprised that the president retweeted that, but right away jumping to a conspiracy theory about his opponent in the last election and his family.
Willie, think about what Donald Trump has done to American mass communication over the last 2 years. I quite frankly am appalled and embarrassed by the amount of responsible people that have jumped right into a conspiracy.
I think this may be a point 4, remind people of the power the President of the United States holds in comparison. I think that may be point 4.
Can you ring the bell when you catch one of these talking points?
On this.
By the way,
yes.
Good catch on the talking points, and it's pathetic that it's so easy to identify Chuck Todd as a stooge.
A roll con. A stooge.
Yes, the president is sort of leading the irresponsible charge here, but there's a lot of people on social media. I mean, it is to the point where I think it's way ahead of any investigation here. I think it just shows you how, particularly the president and the way he sort of warped information, attacked the press, fake news, conspiracy theories, all of that stuff, which he's embraced over the years. I think the fact is, my biggest concern is that you can tell this is a virus that is spreading. Ooh. So let's set that aside with what the president did there, because that's a horrendous virus. As for Epstein, look, I think you're seeing bipartisan outrage. We are, you have some senators who have been so mute on other issues. Yeah. They see the Epstein thing almost as an opportunity to say, oh, I get to be outraged about something and I don't have to make Donald Trump mad. So you're going to have some of those people coming after the Justice Department here, but you're also going to have others that are going to come after the Justice Department for what they believe. So I think Bill Barr's in the hot seat. The entire justice system is in the hot seat on this one there.
And you'd like to think the President of the United States would tamp down some of the conspiracy theories, but again, he's elevating them.
Yeah. Well, they didn't do a very good job on the talking points.
He's not elevating anything. He's elevating. He just mentioned that Epstein was a buddy with Bill Clinton.
Yeah, That's
trolling. It.
He's trolling.
Where's the conspiracy theory? He didn't mention the hit list. He didn't do anything that was elevate anything.
He's trolling.
These guys.
By the way, mental health and suicide is, of course, a serious business, and we're making very light of it here on the show. We need to talk a little bit more about some specific mental health issues that have been in the news recently. So I did want to bring this short public service announcement to everybody.
Are you at risk of accidental suicide? If you are, then this advice may help. Avoid police custody or any protective custody or incarceration. Do not spend any time alone in a high-rise apartment. Avoid small aircraft, hot tubs, skiing, canoeing, long drives on lonely mountainous roads, or simply being in a remote place. Always vote for your Democrat nominee in federal, state and municipal elections. Should anyone start up an awkward conversation, simply smile politely and say, "I'm with her." Follow these steps to reduce your chance of accidental suicide today.
Brought to you by your local No Agenda affiliate station.
Exactly. Yeah, good advice.
I love that someone scrolled in chalk in front of the Epstein mansion in Manhattan. XOXO, Hillary and Bill. Got some sick people, man.
I did not see that.
It's very funny. Okay, do we have any? Well, I guess the only thing for me, and I don't know what you have, is we would be remiss if
Ghislaine Maxwell thing I want to run.
Yes, and then I would say we would be remiss if we didn't listen to Pachanik's take.
I didn't think he had much to say in that particular last one.
I thought it was worth deconstructing. I do
have a couple amazing Polly clips, which I could gladly quit.
No, let's do Ghislaine.
But Amazing Polly, I don't listen to her. I don't think she's that good. I think she invites associative kinds of condemnations, and I think she's full of shit with a lot of stuff because she's not accurate. But the person I do like, who I think does do nice little documentaries on the YouTube, and that is the Truth Factory Talking Cat.
Yes, the Truth Factory Talking Cat is pretty good. Yes.
Yes, well, here's the Talking Cat's little thing on Maxwell, where they target Ghislaine.
I believe the real brains behind the entire operation was Ghislaine, as this was not her first rodeo surrounding herself with pedophiles. In 1986, she was allegedly caught in compromising sexual photos with former British MP Harvey Procter, who liked to spank naked little boys with a riding crop. From there, she attached herself to Epstein and his money, becoming the handler of the young sexual victims. And just like her father, Maxwell and Epstein were both likely working for the Mossad. This theory was made credible in Acosta's comments when he said he'd cut the non-prosecution deal with one of Epstein's attorneys because he had been told to back off, that Epstein was above his pay grade. I was told that Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone. But what would intelligence services want with a disgusting sex offender? Probably the same thing that the Mossad got by filming Robert Maxwell's sexual exploits. They would use agents of influence like Epstein to blackmail rich and powerful people. Jeffrey Epstein was running a honey trap. In a 2006 court filing, Palm Beach police noted that a search of Epstein's home uncovered 2 hidden cameras. In a 2015 civil lawsuit filed by Jane Doe No. 3, who is likely actually Virginia Roberts, seen here with Ghislaine and Prince Andrew, she accused Maxwell of having recruited her in 1999, when she was only a minor. After Maxwell introduced her to Epstein, she was groomed by the 2 of them for his pleasure. She asserted that Maxwell and Epstein had trafficked her and other girls, often at sex parties hosted by Epstein at his homes, and alleged that Epstein wired his mansion with hidden cameras, secretly recording orgies involving his prominent friends and underage girls.
And
now, it just brings it in. I mean, at least she discusses the woman.
Yeah.
But the one thing I got a kick out of was this little other thing, the honeypot clip, where this is the kind of thing that somebody who has any brains probably would have done if it was presented to them, especially the way it was presented. This is a story about a journalist who went to one of the parties, and I think these cameras, which we've discussed on other shows, were used mostly for the purposes of getting other people to shut up, not necessarily the clique of pedophiles, which I still think was a kind of just a club, as opposed to all blackmailed. I don't think they necessarily wanted. They were blackmailed because they all know each other, but I don't think it was the intent to blackmail them as it was to blackmail other people to shut them up. And this little anecdote coming up, I thought was very on the money.
Jeffrey Epstein's job was simple: to be a pimp and to find elite people in the U.S. political and economic industries and compromise them. Journalist Eric Margolis even said when meeting Epstein for the first time, "Soon after I walked into the entrance of Epstein's mansion, a butler asked me, 'Would you like an intimate massage, sir, by a pretty young girl?' This seemed out of place and weird to me, so I swiftly declined. As an old observer of intelligence affairs, to me this offer reeked of the ye old honey trap, a tactic to ensnare and blackmail people that was old when Babylon was young. A discreet room with a massage table, lubricants, and no doubt cameras stood ready off the main lobby. This footage was likely used to blackmail elites afterwards for hush money. Once you have that money, you can buy more mansions, cars, more girls, and have massive parties where you can connect to even more influential perverts that you can extort to keep growing this disgusting empire."
Now, this was in an article, I think. I've read this.
This was the guy who says, I don't think so.
Yeah, this was a guy who wrote about this experience verbatim. I'd have to look it up. Look, the cat didn't go into the mansion. We know that. That would have been the talking cat would have been a surprise. Now, it's too bad that Epstein is dead, extracted, gone, whatever. Although I still want to bring this important piece of information. We replayed a recording of the Epstein deposition of 2009. Here's a reminder.
Would you raise your right hand, please?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
Could you please give us your name?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Is it true, sir, that you have what's been described as an egg-shaped penis?
Form, vague, and definite.
Objection, Your
Honor.
Honor.
I'm going to give you the first warning, Mr. Kubin, that these types of questions are not only argumentative, but
let's get to the second version of the question.
If you continue with this type of question, I will adjourn the deposition immediately.
Sir, according to the police department's probable cause affidavit, one witness described your penis as oval-shaped and claimed when erect it was thick towards the bottom but was thin and small towards the head portion and called it egg-shaped. Those are not my words, I apologize. But as Mr.
Now adjourned.
As Mr. Critton has stated, that this is a...
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
Yes, the No Agenda producers never cease to amaze me with their experience, background, and information they're willing to share. From producer Eric, we received, Adam and John enjoyed the clip on the egg-shaped Epstein penis. That's always a good opener for an email. I feel I might be able to shed some light on this. I was a professional pierce and body modifier in several underground communities in the late 90s and early 2000s. The term we had for guys back then was milk bottle dicks because their penises looked like a milk bottle. These guys were penis pump addicts. They would use a vacuum pressure penis pump to enlarge their dicks. The anatomy of the penis is such that the shaft expands at a different rate than the head, making the base and shaft a lot longer and thicker than the head. My guess, we got a pumper on our hands. And I thought this was very interesting information. Because for sure, I'm never going to buy a vacuum pump now. And I recommend no one do this.
Wow.
I can totally see that guy being a pumper.
Yeah.
The more
it just gets better.
The more
just
you
gets
know.
better on the No Agenda show.
I should have had this one ready. All right, the more you know. Here it is. That's the one.
The more you know in the morning.
All right, do you want to go to this Pachenik clip quick? We don't have to do every single piece of it.
Yeah, do the Pachenik thing, and then
we'll be done for now, right? Yeah, okay. So, and Pachenik emailed me this link. He said, I want to record a long interview with you. So he's got something to say, and I'm going to talk to him on Tuesday, and I'll record it, and we'll see what comes out of it. But his quote was, I really want to talk to you about this. Let's record it. Many more going down. I'm interested when he says this, so I have no problem talking to our friend of the show.
Unsealed indictments, okay.
Many thousands of unsealed indictments. Okay, look.
Or sealed indictments.
Who knows? By the time I talk to him, it may be unsealed. What do you know?
Hi, this is Dr. Pachenik, and let's talk about Jeff Epstein's supposed suicide.
Whether he committed suicide or he's dead or they took him out of jail is really not relevant. What happened today with Jeff Epstein is a travesty of justice and the law, but also of our intelligence system. Several weeks ago, on July 15, 16, I saw the story being developed where Epstein was decided that he was going to commit suicide, and he had a rope around his neck and had marks on his neck, and there was a member in his cell, which was absurd. Of course, Epstein was in his cell now by himself. His dynamic is such that he would never commit suicide. He's too narcissistic, bombastic. I've treated guys like this. They don't commit suicide.
Now, whatever you think of Pachanik, he does have the credentials to be able to make a claim like that.
And he's not the only one making that claim.
Who else has made this claim?
A lot of people have said that he's too narcissistic. He's not suicidal. He's not a suicidal guy under any circumstances.
Although I was reading a report somewhere else that claimed that, pedophiles, they commit more suicide than anybody, especially pedophiles who abuse boys. I don't know where that article is, but so there's conflicting information out there.
No, I saw that too.
But Pachanik has credentials in this area, so unless he's bullshitting us, I'm going to take it at face value.
Not every pedophile commits suicide, so
no.
Some don't for some reason, and I think we can assume he's one of them.
What we do is we take them out, and remember what I said several months ago, he works for Mossad and the CIA. Why? Because he compromised so many political and economic figures that it was important for all of you to understand this wasn't just an individual. This is a system that we funded and that we've been an alliance to, the Mossad, and the Jewish Americans who are leading us.
Now, this was interesting. This glitch in the YouTube video was in every version, every single time I looked at it. The minute he's going to say something about the Jews in America, and this is a glitch, it literally glitches out. So I'm going to have to ask him what he said when I talked to him.
Pachanik is Jewish. We should mention that.
Yeah, so that's why he said you should never talk about this the way I talk about it. Only I can do that. Okay.
Yeah, well,
system that we funded and that we've been an alliance to, the Mossad, and the Jewish Americans who are leading us. Glitch. Jeffrey Epstein, as I said to you, is an operative. He's a poor jerk of a low-level Jewish guy who never amounted to anything and was grandiose. The fact of the matter is that he had compromised a lot of people using make-believe money and a fictional background. What really is true is the following, and most of you did not follow this. 2 days ago, a member of our military was appointed as Director of National Intelligence, McGuire, a Vice Admiral of Military Intelligence. Now, why is that important, and what does that have to do with Epstein? Everybody wonders. The answer is very simple. Military intelligence, of which I've been part of for over 4 decades, is the only institution that we can rely on that will not be compromised by the Mossad. In turn, what happened is 2 days ago, Susan Gordon, who was the Deputy of National Intelligence behind Clapper and others, was not appointed to become Director of National Intelligence. Now, why is that related to Epstein? Because Susan Gordon is Jewish, and she was close to John Brennan, who's close to the Mossad. So Trump, in his wisdom, as crazy as people think, was a fox in the hen house.
Now, I'm not exactly sure what Pachanik is saying here. I think what he means is that Trump is getting everyone around him who's a potential problem away, cutting all the potential issues out, although I think you and I still have questions as to who's writing his speeches, possibly putting in Nazi code words and other weird shit. So there could still be someone in the orbit. But I heard him say on one of those famous on the way to the helicopter stand-up things on the White House lawn, says, what do you think? Should I appoint Sue? Should it be Sue? Yeah, you want to vet her, Sue? So he was goading kind of to see what the response was. I didn't get it at the time. So I guess that this is distancing himself and everything from the CIA, who apparently would be implicated with Mossad in this Epstein platform almost.
It was a given that Susan was going to get this job.
Oh, okay. So then there you go. It was a given by the hierarchy of the system.
Yeah, by the buzz, by the system.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's one of the her turn.
Okay.
This happens.
Right.
government and everywhere. I mean, that's why Biden is the
yes.
It's his turn.
All right.
Let him be the next guy to.
We continue.
He knew exactly to go away from the CIA and the civilian intelligence and bring in military intelligence. So Susan Gordon is out. John Brennan is out. The Obama people out. The Clintons didn't do this. This is far more sophisticated, but also more awkward than you think. The reasoning goes as follows in the intelligence community. I know the CIA very well, and I know the Mossad very well. They're not very bright when it comes to creating a storyline like Jeff Epstein.
Now, this part I like very much. This is the part that I'm on board.
Yes, they created this beast, and they created this incredible, pedophilia ring. But what they didn't understand, and they couldn't come to any resolution, was the fact that, well, we can't explain the suicide, and we'll just say he's suicidal, and he died in a cell by himself committing suicide. That's called paradoxical intention. What that means is that we're going to use the most absurd concept and let you people, the civilians, run with it as long as we can label conspiracy theories. So in Wikipedia and the New York Times, all they did was fall for this trap of paradoxical intention, where they said, okay, it's a conspiracy theory. The man killed himself in a cell which had no capability to kill yourself. So who else was compromised, and why was this so important to come out now? Governor DeSantis of Florida, who is a JAG officer in the SEAL team and Special Forces and fought overseas, decided he's going to have a Florida investigation and a prosecution of the Attorney General, Jewish guy, Berman, who was involved, as well as the police chief of Palm Beach, who lied. Then we have a woman by the name of Giffer, who implicated Mrs. Maxwell, also implicated Prince Andrews of England. Now, Andrews of England was accused of sucking the toe of this 14 or 15-year-old. Whether he did or didn't do is not important. The point of fact is the Windsor family has always lied, cheated, and was corrupt. They're not Windsors. They're basically German. They were pro-Nazi in the beginning of World War II, and had it not been for Winston Churchill, we would have not had a successful England. So what else was compromised? Richardson, Bill Richardson of New Mexico, Summers of Harvard, a whole bunch of other individuals were compromised. And as a result of that, the resolution had to be that Epstein had committed suicide. In our business, we say, qui s'excuse, s'accuse. Another one, he who excuses himself accuses himself. And also, don't forget paradoxical intention. You all will call this a conspiracy. Thank you and good night.
I'm not sure. Other than, okay, I looked. Yes, there's an investigation that DeSantis has called for, and apparently that's starting to bring out everybody who was involved, presumably also Acosta. Everybody who was involved with the light sentencing and the deal with Epstein is now being investigated. And of course we saw the documents which have been released. Will there be more? I don't know. Bill Richardson, definitely there's some interesting stuff in his past with the Clintons.
Yeah, him and the Clintons are tight.
Yeah, and I think wasn't he also involved in Haiti somehow, Richardson? I
don't remember that, but I will say this about Pachenik's entire thesis, where he kind of he hints the possibility, saying it's not important, but he hints at the possibility, and I think he's actually saying that this was an extraction.
Yes,
in an offhanded way, because you had the right people to do it. You had the CIA and the Mossad, and this hospital in it's kind of in Midtown, in Manhattan, the hospital. I mean, the prison, this federal prison. And it all took place late in the middle of, the night, and it's suspect. And next thing you know, where's the body?
Yeah. Well, we know one thing. Identifying marks would be the egg.
And nobody really wants to see that. I sure don't.
No. Well, we await the many indictments, the many people who the sealed indictments. Yeah. We await the takedown of the swamp. I am extremely excited. Not going to hold my breath, because otherwise it might look like a suicide. But
nothing's, guys. We discussed this when it first started up. This is nothing's going to happen. They're putting the kibosh on it. The kibosh, one of the ways it's pronounced these words.
I will predict the following. we will see at least 3 more people go down one way or the other. Maybe heart attack, something else. 3.
Well, you mean people dropping?
Yeah, dropping, going away, dropping, disappearing, whatever.
I'm not going to say I'm not going to argue against that, because somebody who knows something about that's not part of it, but somebody at the prison or somewhere that knows what happened, and I would quit immediately and get out of town.
Yeah. Anyway, eyes on Ghislaine, eyes on Vicky Ward, and eyes on the egg, everybody.
I would further say Ghislaine nothing's going to happen to her. Vicky Ward is going to hold her job at CNN for a while, and that'll be the end of her, and she'll be off to do another book. And nothing else will come of it, except the people's names who get dropped or unfortunately mentioned in these documents, which are going to be released.
Wow.
So it's going to be a lot of guilt by association.
Yes. As long as we're not in there, then I'm happy.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're not.
With that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in the Clinton body count, John C. Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all ships at sea, feet in the air, subs in the water, and the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to our troll room. And they're all over the map this morning. We've got about 1,300 trolls standing by doing what they do. It's a regular 8chan here, 4chan, maybe a 2chan, a 1.5chan sometimes. But it is noagendastream.com where you can listen to great shows like this one 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and many of them live. You can troll along in real time. It's a very welcoming community. Come on by noagendastream.com. Also, would like to thank the artist for episode 1162, the one we did on Thursday, titled that Thank You, Comrade. And this was a classic comic strip blogger win. Yeah. A win for the CSB. Simplicity rules. We were talking about.
So wait. CSB? Is that the same guy?
No, he put comic strip blogger now. He's changed his name.
You're telling me that CSB, CS comic
I think he may be the same guy.
Oh, my God. You're right. It matches up.
We did the story on the British Columbia Human Rights. What is it?
Commission.
No, it's not commission. It's a better word. Tribunal. Yes, the tribunal who determine if you are violating human rights of someone, for instance, who identifies as a woman but wants you to wax their private parts. And there was a stick figure guy with the Canadian maple leaf in the right spot. It was well done. We cracked up. There was no doubt.
Funny.
There was no doubt this was the one. And got a lot of comments on it. Guaranteed this works extremely well when people notice it in their podcast app. So thank you for helping us reach more people, comic strip blogger, and obviously thanks to all of the artists who participate in our value for value network system and provide this kind of value that really makes our show, your show, our show, everybody's show much better. And you can participate in that yourself at the show at noagendaartgenerator.com. And thank you for your courage.
And we did get a big response. I think a lot of the reason we did we had a lot of executive and associate executive producers. We did have a couple meetups, which helps. But I think the Epstein thing, people know when something like this crops up that they expect us to cover it.
Okay.
And so they start thinking of us. They think of us. And when you think of us, you think of donating.
Well, this adds interesting perspectives.
Which is?
Well, we can get more guys like this to disappear.
Yeah, well.
It's good for the show.
It could happen.
It's good for the show.
Sir Mittens of Fall Cities leads the list here with $777.
Wow. Fantastic. Nice. That's very nice. Thank you.
ITM, gents, I've done my damnedest to cut back on the verbosity this time. I do have a humble request, though. I've wondered for weeks about the legitimacy of dot conducted by George Webb and John O'Loughlin on their respective YouTube feeds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm most interested, however, in Steve Pachenik's estimation of the research presented on those channels. Any chance of playing proxy for me, Uncle Adam? Especially before yesterday's paradoxical intention blurs the boundary between the dimensions. In honor of Dr. P, a closing quote. Look, you're already in a jackpot. I'm trying to get you out of it. Thank you for your collective courage. Curative karma to all producers, douche and non-douche alike.
Yes.
Mittens of Falls City.
Well, I feel we gave that to you just moments ago, so I think we did that for you. And yeah, I watched George Webb. He does too much. It's too long. There's too much George Webb, really. But he has credentials. Webb has credentials. I don't know much about John O'Loughlin.
Well, they're buddies, the two, Webb and O'Loughlin. In fact, there's a couple of, at least one time I've seen them on the same, together, right next to each other, talking. They tend to be, I can say that I'm not, I don't pay any attention to either one of them personally.
Yeah, I certainly don't watch every one of their episodes. When someone points something out, I'll go over, but it's in a way, it's like the No Agenda show where there's a lot of referrals back to things that you kind of have to pay attention. But I think there's just too much. It's overload. George Webb is overload for me. It's just too much content. It's like every day he's doing something of an hour. So
onward, Sir Patrick.
Well, hold on. We gotta give out this curative karma to all producers. Here we go.
You've got karma.
Thank you, Sir Mittens.
Sir Patrick. Sir Patrick of the Enormous Noggins in Clayton, Ohio, 56789.
Nice.
This donation brings me to Viscount attached counting. If it pleases the committee, I would like to claim the state of Ohio as a protectorate. There's already a Baron of Ohio, but it looks like overlapping territories are allowed for different levels. Yes, this is true, so you can have that. No jingles needed, but please throw in some karma for the city of Dayton.
All right.
Regards, Sir Patrick.
You've got karma.
Sir GQ sent a note to Adam from Hanover, Maryland. No jingles, no karma, $333.67. Is there anything in that note? Do you have it?
Yes, Sir GQ, Baron of Maryland. My wife Stephanie let it slip. She had made a donation for my birthday, August 12th, in the amount of $333. That would put her $333.67 away. We made a donation of 333.33 in July 2018 from Damehood. Even though she said knighthood in her email, I'm making an anonymous donation in the amount of $333.67 as a birthday donation to her.
So she gets damed? She's not on the list.
No. I guess this email kind of slipped through. Now, she does come in with the birthday shout out to her husband. So they didn't know this of each other. Honey, someone spent the rent. That's very cute. That's love right there. So yes. Now
I like the time that two people called each other out as douchebags on the same show that both donated.
That's even better. Well, we're going to hand out a big karma first of all, and I think when we get to Stephanie's note, more will become clear.
You've got karma.
That's Sir G. Sir Dave Fugazotto, Viscount of America's Heartland and Saudi Arabia, 333.33. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Skipping around here, seeing the anonymous thing. Eid Mubarak from my expanded holdings. The annual Hajj week has ended, and Saudi Arabia is enjoying a holiday week off work. Health and travel karma, please. Headed home to visit Dame Melody and Lady Isabella very soon. I'm trying to get over something picked up at Club 33, which we posted in one of the newsletters, a photo of that place. Genuine Club 33 in Saudi Arabia or in Egypt. It was in Egypt. Needs karma. Headed home. I had an awful. He had apparently an awful falafel.
Ugh.
Which is a nice title for a show.
So I'm the keeper and I are having dinner with them I think next week or the week after. They're coming through Texas, and we're going to have a dinner. I'll report on that for sure. And
he's a world traveler, so you should see what he's up to.
Exactly. Here is the karma as requested.
Wait a minute.
You've got karma.
I thought we were done.
No, I'm not done. I just stopped. I just said awful falafel. Then he says, douchebags, donate, keep on keeping on, and thank you for your courage, Dave Fugazotto. Okay. Yeah, he's now in Saudi Arabia. Brian Holcomb, Palo Alto, California, 33333. He was actually at the Berkeley meetup, and he's dropped off a check and left a note. And it's in longhand, so I have to warn in advance the affiliates. I want to thank you for preserving my sanity since I first began listening in 2015. I was going through some tough times, and I was searching for a bellwether of stability. It was an auto worker in Michigan, and desperately needed a change in my life and career. Since those Cerulean days, I have found my own keeper and also just recently found a great job in the biotech field. It took a while for the jobs karma to take, but I am grateful it has. The move out of here to Silicon Valley has been tough at times, but I have prevailed. Yeah, it's tough in terms of costs.
Yeah.
I would like to call out Mark I think it's Hanson's, and Dustin Baum, B-A-U-M, as douchebag.
Douchebag. Hit the double. Douchebag.
This is my third handwritten note and my third installment. Very good, by the way, the handwriting. Via check of 333. Does this make me a member of the 333 Club? Well, if you donated on show 333, it would. For good measure and all karma to the future Esquires, I have also enclosed 3 pennies to assist in their journey to knighthood. Adam will keep those pennies for future use. In closing, I would like to the following. Oh, I should have mentioned this. I'd like to be named Cerulean Knight of the Santa Clara Valley. Oh, he's already okay. Well, you got to put him on the list. I didn't send this to Eric.
Hold on a second. This is Brian Holcomb. So now I have to do some work. Hold on. Yes.
He wants to be Cerulean. Is Cerulean?
Hold on. Okay. Cerulean, yeah?
Cerulean, Knight of the Santa Clara Valley.
Okay.
And he does have
something for the round table
requests, which you're not going to be happy with.
Okay. I don't care.
The 3 are okay. He also says, happy anniversary, John and Mimi. Thanks, Brian. He wants just send your cash, which I believe is the Bush clip. Respect, which is probably right there in front of you. Mm-hmm. And pew pew.
Okay. So just send your cash. Isn't that water or blankets? Isn't that water, blankets?
Just send your cash. Just send your cash.
It's somewhere else, man. This is so old. Okay, what's the other one? Pew pew.
And respect.
Okay, respect. Got that one. Where's the pew pew? You see, normally, these days I got to take it to the bank. I don't know where the hell that thing is, the send your cash. It's like, you know how long it's been since we used that? Maybe
respect?
Is it? No, I have that one. Maybe it's Bush.
Oh, tell her the blankets water. Yeah, it's been a while.
Send your cash. Damn it. I'm going to do one more look. Let me see if I can find it. Nah, I'll have to owe that one to him.
Okay.
RESPICT.
You've got karma.
That's very annoying that I can't find that one anymore.
Here's our coincidence. Stephanie Meyer, who is married to Sir GQ.
Yeah.
Whose note you read.
Yes.
I'd like to send a special birthday shout out to my amazing husband, Sir GQ, as he turns number of 33 on August 12th. That's interesting. Although he's been a longtime listener, one of your biggest fans and birthday boy, this donation will be going toward my own knighthood. Thank you both for keeping us informed. Jingle request, 33 is the magic number. Thank you.
33, that's the magic number. It is. It's the magic number.
I'll hit a karma just as well.
You've got karma.
Yes, and Stephanie would officially be Dame today, but I'm going to hold off because we don't have it's a surprise that she received this from her husband. So I think we should hold off until she tells us what name she would like to use, and we can do that on Thursday's show. Does that sound good?
This will be an executive decision on your part.
Blame the Dutch guy. All right, sure. Yeah, I think we should do that. I just want to make sure. It's a big deal. People want to have certain things at the round table, and I want to make sure we provide.
Right, and it's better than doing a make good.
Yeah, much better than that.
And we'll give her a special send-off. Orange County Meetups and a tour is $60. So we have to decide on some of these meetups. People want to collect money. We have to have a designated money collector to send us off. You have to be pretty responsible. Mentions Amy Hagen, Nadia Luminadia, Gruber, Heather Fuccinari, and Crystal Darrow all contributed. And there is a note. One of them.
Now, tell us about the meetup. How many people were there? I know it was kind of impromptu. So
doesn't say. We need a form. Oh. We'll have a form one of these days.
Okay.
Start designing the form.
Oh, I thought this was from this is the OC meetup, right? I'm sorry. I was thinking of the Berkeley meetup. Yes.
All right, but no, I incorporated the Berkeley meetup into the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
There is no separate Berkeley meetup one. In the morning, and thank you for your courage, and closes a donation of $100. This is in the name of Crystal Darrow. We like to put both of our names, but Crystal feels slighted after our other donations have been attributed to only Ryan. Moving on. We're both teachers. The reason I'm reading this note, normally we don't read $100 notes, but this is attached to the 260 note, and I thought it was worth reading. Moving on, we are both teachers who live and work in Santa Ana in the Socialist Republic of California, and so are faced every day with colleagues whose amygdalas are at varying states of enlargement. Your shows have been a lifeboat of sanity in our sea of derangement. I wonder how many teachers out there like this.
Oh, I think many.
We recently hosted our first Orange County NA meetup, which they hosted this, okay, and it went swimmingly. Keep up with the nautical-themed language. This was our first time setting up such an event, so of course we wouldn't expect it to go perfectly, and we were very sad to hear that some of the attendees couldn't find our tables. The next OC meetup will be planned with more care. Okay, all right. And then she goes on explaining they need a health karma for Dad and the beginning of a second year karma for us as well. To give them a karma, and then we're good.
You've got karma.
She does have. Let's see. I think we're good. Okay, onward. Sir Donald Borowski. He came in with unusual amount of $246.90, but he still used a United Federation of Planets, which I'm sure he's running out of this letterhead. Gentlemen, here's my combined donation for 2 months, July and August. 2 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cheers. Donald Borowski, Sir Donald of the Fire Bottles, Viscount of Eastern Washington State.
I love it. Thank you very much, Sir Donald. Appreciate it. Very good. As long as it's on the Federation letterhead, then we know all is well.
Yeah.
No idea what the code numbers are, but yeah.
You never know. Sir Paul Schneider in Edmonton, Alberta. Please credit me as Sir Paul Schneider. Thanks. FYI. It's Canadian. Works out to 333.33. Okay.
So he becomes it's the rule. So he becomes an executive producer for today's program.
Aaron Chamberlain sent in a note, which I have printed out. I did for once. I did this in advance. It's a long note, but I don't know if I can cut it down a little bit. Sir Podfather and Trusty Sidekick, a.k.a. Adam and John. I'm the Trusty Sidekick. Next, I'd like to give... he goes, I've been freeloading for 1,000 episodes. Sorry about that. It's time to make amends. Please humbly accept this donation to 3232. Okay. I'd like to give some insight on the Dayton shooting. I live in Dayton, about 10... Hello?
Yeah, I just coughed. That's all.
Oh, I live in Dayton, about 10 minutes from the shooting. We have a personal friend who came to us the Saturday evening after the shooting. He was a co-worker of the shooter. And he actually worked with him the Friday night before. He told us he thought the guy was a little odd, but never got the vibe of a ruthless killer. Our friend told us about the time he actually went to the gun range with the guy, and he thinks he held the rifle used in the killing. Needless to say, our friend is a little shaken up.
Yeah.
He wasn't best friends with the guy, but more than co-workers. He went to a concert with the guy just a week before. The FBI came to question the establishment he worked at, Chipotle. There you have it. And offered one trauma counseling session for everyone that worked there if they needed, and any additional sessions that insurance would help pay for. Chipotle is very generous, by the way. They'll let you take as much counseling as you want, as long as somebody else is paying for it. Our friend is a black man who's from Guyana, South America. So if the media defaults to calling this racially charged killing spree, I would argue the contrary. So nothing to report, but I want to provide a little insight for the show.
That is interesting.
It is interesting. The wife's birthday is a little early, August 30th, but I want to give, you may have to, sorry about this. I didn't put this on the list to Eric.
Okay.
Birthday for my fine, with all caps lady, Laura Chamberlain.
Okay.
No age.
No. Laura Chamberlain, and she celebrates on?
The 30th.
Okay.
She's not taking any chances.
I'm in time, baby. And that's from Aaron, right? Yeah.
I've attached pictures of our dogs. Daisy, a Labradine, a Labrador and Great Dane. That must be something. And I didn't see the Chiweenie, the Mexican hot dog, Chihuahua, and Dachshund. Not sure if you like the show. Not sure if they like the show. They definitely like people, especially Diddy, who will pee on you. Also, cats. Too many attached. Only one. Gene King Bub, fattest cat around. They use this in the newsletter. Jingle request. You're not going to believe this.
Yeah,
Ready?
no, I believe if it's send your cash, you're in.
No, it's not send your cash, but it is pew pew.
Pew pew. Yeah, pew pew. Sure.
And then Obama phone, which I have no idea.
Oh yeah, we got that.
And thanks Obama, and please clap.
Okay, I got the
If
Obama
it's not too much to
phone.
ask,
Jeez. Yeah.
could you do the 3x3 jingle at the end of the show?
That's a lot to ask.
I haven't heard that jingle for years. Keep up the great work and deconstruction, breath of fresh air in this sucking soot society.
Right, pew
Sincerely,
pew,
Aaron
Obama
and
phone, thanks Obama, and what was the other one?
Clap, please clap.
Oh, please clap. I thought we had a very short Obama phone. Let me see.
I don't even know what Obama phone is.
Yeah, I know what that is. It's so pew pew.
Obama! You got Obama.
Yes, everybody in Cleveland, low minority got Obama phone. Keep Obama in president, you know?
Thanks, Obama.
Please clap.
Something like that.
You've got
That worked
karma.
out well.
Yeah.
For an ad lib.
Took me a second. Yeah.
All right. Then we have Anonymous, $222.22.
Oh, yes. I got an email. This is Sir American Carnage.
Yeah.
Anyway, as his anonymous donation, he says his note.
This is the Bronze
Yes.
Age
Yes.
pervert email.
Yes. I sent you guys a note about accelerationism in the show with the same name a few months back. I guess we didn't pick up on the Bronze Age mindset, which is this book / manifesto, which I read, which was pointed out to me as maybe motivation for the El Paso shooter, perhaps even Christchurch. It was very odd hearing you guys mention Bronze Age pervert. He is the so-called author, as I followed and interacted with him on Twitter for about 3 years. He is part of Frog Twitter. That's not peppy, but it's a niche reactionary irony part of Twitter. The best I can explain concisely is that some on irony content Twitter, I guess that's like white Twitter, black Twitter, irony content Twitter, have performance art identities that never break character. Bronze Age pervert is one of those. Yeah, I think I figured as much. Some are so involved and complex that they even write books under their Twitter identity name. Bronze Age pervert has been trolling journalists and confounding the blue check marks on Twitter since before the 2016 election. His book is a meme extension of his identity. It's a social commentary under huge layers of irony performance. Even the title is a meme joke play on the grifter dime a dozen mindset books of the last few years. John was pretty much right. No, You hear that? John was pretty much right.
I didn't hear that. You broke up. What was that?
John was pretty much right. And if anyone committed a shooting over Bap's writing, that's Braun Jade Pervert, then that is super cringe, and they don't know the ethos of Frog Twitter, and they got trolled. So clearly, we need to shut this shit down, because if we're going into areas of performance art that are weird. But, okay, it makes nothing but sense. I think that's a lot of what the Chans are, too, is a lot of performance-type art. Yeah. And it's a postmodern art form. And I think
definitely.
And I think that you nailed it. And I definitely had my questions, like this could be fake. I don't know what's going on. So I'll ignore it from now on, because I have my time can be spent on better things than reading 98 pages of the Bronze Age pervert. But thank you. I appreciate the knowledge. So again, the more you learn on the No Agenda show.
More you learn.
Yeah.
Kimberly Redmond in Toronto, Ontario, 221. And she writes, thanks for providing me with a sanity check. It means more than you know. As a marketer, I've been quietly observing as so much unfolds behind the scenes. I like watching the Wizard of Oz pulling the switches. And all the while, people continue to argue over partisan issues. It's good to know that there are others out there that see there's more than meets the eye. Please send some jobs karma, as I am relaunching a platform and also starting a new venture this year. Hopefully, I can help too. Aha! P.S. I'm not sure if this is how it works. I sent 221 because it adds up to 5. Numerology for freedom and change and my number. Sorry, it's not more. It's what I can afford.
No, very happy. Thank you very much, Kimberly. And here's your jobs karma.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
All right.
So Keith McColpin comes in with $200 with probably the shortest note we've had for a while. That actually has more content than NJNK, which is hee-haw.
Yes, that is my pronoun.
Hee-haw.
Yeah, that's my pronoun.
Mark, I get it. It's a good one, too. My pronoun's he-ha.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Koelen. Oh, he's Dutch, so you can pronounce it. He's in Widnes.
That's you go to Holland, and the cab driver will take you right there if you pronounce it like that. Try it again.
Widnes?
Oh, yeah. We're on our way there, sir. Weidenes would be closer.
Weidenes.
Want my Dutch guy accent?
You're mocking me.
You want my Dutch guy accent for this one?
No, how do you do the guy's name? Koelen.
Mark Koelen.
Mark Koelen.
In Weidenes. Hello, Sean and Adam. I've checked my PayPal subscription of $11.11 a month, and it seems that knighthood bestowed to me in 2010 is up for promotion for some time now. Therefore, I'd like to claim the title of Baronet of East Lake City and newly arisen Marker Wadden of the Lowlands. Oh, so this is a title change.
It's an upgrade. It's not on the list.
Yeah, jeez. Oh, man, this is what is going on with the back office. Please give my company Seed Care, a seed production company, a plug, and some seed growing karma. Greetings from Mark Koelen, Weidenes in the Netherlands. So Seed Care. He didn't give us a URL, but here comes your karma for sure.
You've got karma.
So we have Mark Koelen. Let me just get this right.
I wonder why he wants a plug for Seed Care.
Yeah.
With no URL.
No.
It's probably code.
So it's Mark Koelen. Becomes Baronet. What is it, John? Can you read that for me?
He wants to be the title Baronet of East Lake City.
Okay.
And the newly arisen Marker Wadden.
Oh yeah, okay.
Of the Lowlands.
Newly arisen Marker Wadden. I think this is new land that has appeared in the Netherlands.
from all the fracking?
From the rising sea level. Somehow there's more land now. I'm not sure what's going on. I'll look it up.
Doesn't make sense.
No, not really. Not in the narrative. All right, Mark, thank you very much.
No karma, no nothing. Stephen Kunkel in Atlanta, Georgia. Sir Stephen, if I'm not mistaken. Today's, guess not. He's going to be Sir Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
Today's donation should thrust me over the knighthood bar. I'd like to request the No Chicken Dance jingle. Thanks for, that one. I do the yeah. Thanks for making the No Agenda show something I look forward to on both Thursdays of each week. You've given me a fresh perspective on a lot of random topics, and more importantly, an approach to dissecting the current events that are pushed on us for some cases completely, or in some cases completely ignored by the mainstream media, M5M.
Mm-hmm.
For my night name, I'd like to request cirrhosis, pronounced cirrhosis. Okay, cirrhosis, like cirrhosis of the liver. These guys and their puns. Brookhaven, you guys aren't taking it seriously.
Yeah, they are.
Brookhaven,
They're taking
Georgia.
it very seriously.
In the name, if the name is taken, it's not. And by the way, knights can have duplicate names.
Yes.
I'll go with Sir Gipper, reviving the old nickname.
Cirrhosis of Brookhaven is that's what we're going with. Sir
Okay,
Gipper.
but he talks about some hybrid sheep. Anyway, for my knighting ceremony, I'd like some dirt cake.
Yeah, got it.
A sixer of Tropicalia IPA from Creature Comforts Brewing, and 3 puffs from a cotton candy flavored Jewel Pod. Well, you only get 2 of these items.
Well,
I think I'd go with the Tropicalia IPA and the dirt cake.
Okay. I got it.
Give him a random karma, I guess.
I don't want to argue.
You've got karma.
But I will take the 3 puffs for you. I'll do that. No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He does have a jewel. Susie Brown in Barnveld, Wisconsin. 200. I'm sure the pronunciation could be better, but she's actually from Madison. So
it's Barneveld, which is a fine Dutch name, actually.
Okay, this is Sonia Bosenberg from Madison, Wisconsin. Easier to pronounce than the other name. Thank you for keeping me sane. My coworkers watch CNN all night long. May I get some health karma from my husband as he struggles with ALS. Love and light.
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
You've got karma.
We have James Kuhn in North Chesterfield, Virginia, $200. And he is actually KE4 GIV 73.
73s, Kilo 5 Alpha Charlie Charlie.
It's been far too long since my last donation. Please de-douche me. Keep up the great deconstruction of the M5M. No jingles, just some karma.
And a de-douche.
You've been de-douched. You've got karma.
And we have Earthanon, who is our last donor. He was at the meetup, and he left a note and $200. He's a very interesting character. He is a earth scientist, and he's a student at University of California, Merced. I've been a listener since show doesn't know 215. He thinks I came across the show from hashtag startups on Freenode IRC. Huh. That's what I said.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Please de-douche me, as this contribution is long overdue.
You've been de-douched.
I can't quite contribute what I think is fair for a broke grad student, but if I can return value, so can anyone else. It's time to stop freeloading. My background's in environmental engineering, and I was. He's right. He's printed this very small. I was first finished my MS in environmental systems at one of our wonderful University of California campuses. Currently, I'm pursuing my PhD in computer science with a focus on sustainability, approaches for robots.
Wow.
I am a robot. I am sustainable. You must die. If I was smarter, I'd be working on the FAI algos problem, but most importantly, they are is to work hard to. I can't read this part.
Yeah.
I am also.
I don't know what's worse, what he's writing or you struggle. Actually, it's funnier to hear you try and read it.
Yeah.
Do you want to give up?
I would have much more to say, but this is enough. I've had to hit people in the mouth when surrounded by a bunch of elites, especially with your something of something. But I will say, regarding future climate, the papers and reports are evidence or bullshit. I can't read this. Well, headers are not. The headers are not. The headings are not. Also, the number of, I have to get him to retype
Hey,
this
you
out.
know what, John? I would say as a cold read, that was well done.
It's more than...
What?
Very funny.
Yeah, what am I going to say? It's painful to listen to. I'm trying to help you get out. Let's get out. Let's get out of it. I mean, he's got to rewrite it, or something's got to happen.
Now, he might have a jingle request. Let me see.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'm going to play the Chicken Dance Obama that we glossed over.
This is a rowdy crowd. Come on, guys. You're in my house. Hold on a second. No. Hey. Okay, you know what? Shame on you. You shouldn't be doing this.
All right.
He's got to know jingles, no karma, so that's good. Let's give him a karma for my bad reading, and I'll ask him for some, because he's a earth sciences guy getting his PhD in computer science. It's not a dummy.
No, it just sounds like it's whatever he wrote is not readable.
He writes like a doctor.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's the problem right there. Got it.
You've got karma.
And that's a list of associate executive producers and executive producers for show 1163. I want to thank each and every one of them. There's a good list today. Good pile of them. Yes. Keeping the show going.
Yes, and these executive producer and associate executive producer credits are just like Hollywood. In fact, this was pretty much like a Tarantino movie. We have a whole lot of producers, but very proud to see this. Thank you so much, especially in the summer. It's fantastic to have this kind of support that really helps a lot. Thank you. And we will be thanking more of our donors, although that list is considerably shorter for the 50 and above in our second segment. I did want to add a quick note for those of you who are new and you hear about this karma. People want jobs karma, health karma, something we didn't make up. But we gladly provide it when asked. So we play the jingle, and somehow collective conscious does seem to work. Matt and Ashley Lazari, you'll remember their note. In fact, I'll read this one from Matt and Ashley. Health karma works. You graciously granted my wife Ashley a well-timed and much-needed health karma on show 1158. I'm pleased to report back it worked. Her surgery on August 5th was, according to the neurosurgeon, procedurally perfect. She's been recovering so well that she was transferred to the physical therapy rehab facility 2 days earlier than they had originally planned. Most of her symptoms have been greatly reduced or eliminated, and the doctor said she can expect to see continued improvements over the next week or so. These results are literally the best that we could have hoped for and was by no means a guaranteed outcome. Ashley and I wanted to give you, John, and the entire No Agenda Nation a giant thank you. We are incredibly, quote, privileged to be associated with this amazing group of people. No Agenda truly is the best podcast in the universe. Thank you for your courage, Matt and Ashley Lazari. I'm very happy about that. I don't know if karma has anything to do with it, but, can't hurt, as they pointed out in their original note. So that's good news. Again, for those of you who would like to support the show for the next episode, which is on Thursday, just go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
We know one thing about earth sciences. They're hard to read. Propagate it.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order.
Shut up, slave!
Shut up, slave!
Yowza. There we go.
So, that we got a plug. Somebody, finally.
Oh, yes. I have it clipped. Do you have it clipped? I got it clipped.
I have two clips.
Oh, you got two clips. And then let's take your clips.
Yeah, Jen Briney of the Congressional
Dish podcast. Yeah,
who
has really been your protege. I'll say it. You have worked with her,
helped her on a number of things, but I like her podcast. She is a left-leaning Bernie fan, but she doesn't like to mention that when she talks about herself. But she was on the C-SPAN show, one of the call-in shows. They had a whole bunch of people that came on that were a whole bunch, like 3 or 4 that came on that are podcasters that do political shows. We could have been invited.
Sure.
But we weren't.
Can you imagine those phone calls? Yes, we have Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak here from the No Agenda Show. And let's go to the caller, the first one. Epstein's got an egg dick. Now, none of that's ever going to happen. Ever.
Yeah, we might have trouble. But she came in and she gave us a little plug.
Wait. Jeffrey Eggstein. Now I got it. It took me a moment.
She gave us a little plug, and then she also followed through with a secondary a catch, which I would call it. But let's listen to Bryony on advertising.
I see in the corporate media is that they are serving advertisers. They see advertisers as their customers. And so there's a passive corruption in that, because you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. And so that determines which stories you pick to cover. And I just didn't want to do that. And so I essentially crowdfund my podcast. I call it the value for value model, which was actually it was perfected by Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak. They host No Agenda. So, I mean, it's their model. But I'm copying them. And basically what I do is I produce something of value. And I think there's a lot of value in knowing what's going on in the lawmaking part of our government. And in return, I ask people to return whatever value they receive in financial form. And my wonderful community does.
And you know what? Well done. Well explained.
I liked it. It was very concise.
What I thought was, and you clipped that off understandably, I liked the guy's response to that I thought very interesting the way we're funding it, which is something different. Let's just listen to how he responded to that.
In financial form, and my wonderful community does.
And it's been working for 6 years then. 7 years.
Financially, it's been working for maybe 2 years.
Let's get to calls. Yeah. Shannon is up first in Paul.
And let's take some calls. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
He's like,
I don't even know if he's listening.
No, of course he's not listening.
Because he definitely missed this.
Yeah.
This was, and I thought it was good that Bryony caught it. She kind of smiled and thought it was funny. And this is Justin, apparently one of our listeners, who calls in and starts with.
Bernie pointed that out.
Oh, sorry.
Bernie pointed that out. This is why I like Bernie. So
let's hear from Justin. Justin's here in Washington, D.C. Hey there.
In the morning.
Good morning.
In the morning to you.
I saw somewhere else on the comments on the New York Times about Eggstein. Someone wrote, "It was HAG, the Hillary assassination group," and it's great. We're finally seeping into culture. Well, I love that all 15 people who watch C-SPAN were exposed to our model. That's actually, I think there may be more people watching that than you think, because a lot of people maybe they didn't catch it, maybe they saw it posted somewhere, but I got a lot of people sending this to me. So I wonder if that show is really well watched, perhaps. Yeah, what am I saying?
I have no idea. They don't give numbers. They don't need to, and they don't. Anyway, but I thought it was cute that she played along with the in the morning, which was a plus. And that, if she dropped the ball on that, I would have been very disappointed. Oh, of course, the other guy didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
Okay, onward.
Yes, let me see where we want to pick things up. What was interesting and always happens is the complete news cycle shift. I mean, it blew over the... Well, there were a couple things going on. We had multiple mass shootings. We had the rather massive raid on one company that, how did they pick up? 680 people, released several hundred almost immediately, but they had outstanding warrants for multiple offenders. And I think just before the Epstein news happened, I just wanted to play it because it was such an incredible abuse of children, which, we do track quite a bit. We still have Greta Thunberg out there, who's
I'm very concerned about her.
Yeah, and she's really being abused, I feel. We both feel, probably.
I'm concerned for her life.
Well, she's taken that, cross ocean sailing trip on a 50-foot, competitive sailing yacht. She's not going to come.
Those are not.
It's not fun.
That's not a thing you want to go across the ocean in.
No,
unless you're a pro,
some
sort of a professional.
And in fact, we've started using this tactic to increase our own support by abusing children from Australia to read sad notes, and clearly it's working. So I can't say that's a bad thing, and I don't care if a father like Sir Chris Wilson abuses his kid. That's fine.
The kid seems to be getting a kid. The kid is too old to be abused. I think Chris is more likely to be knifed by the kid.
Now
these Aussies are tough.
So there was this ICE raid. And I guess this was not the first time they'd raided this company, although the way the M5M played it, it was like, oh my God, this is, it's like the Nazis coming to get the Jews, and it's unbelievable. And, and the kids, it was their first day in school, and they had no parents to come home to, which turns out wasn't true. Everyone was asked, do you have a child in school, someone who was going to be alone? They were sent home immediately. They were released immediately, as per the spokesholes who were talking about this. But that's not the way the M5M liked to play it in general. It was really all about the children, not about what these people had been, had many of them, hundreds of them, had entered the country illegally multiple times. And now, forget about that. It was unbelievable how mean they were, because this affects children. It's always about the children. Now, we don't need to talk about the children of legal citizens, whose parents OD or parent get arrested, or broken families, or domestic violence. You don't hear much about the children from the M5M when it comes to that. But, we found one, everybody. We found the one child, and everyone had a microphone in front of her face.
They're not doing the best. So I want my dad to be free and everybody else. And those children are crying because of their dad and mom missing.
They had to subtitle it, of course.
I don't want my dad. No, the Hispanic people are not doing nothing bad. They're not stealing nothing. The immigrants just went just inside the company, just get our dads out of there.
Now, you watch this video, and the comments range from the outrage you'd expect to she's acting. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's an abuse of a child, and then to use this child for your political statement is disgusting. And I wish we talked about children more, and children who are suffering, of the citizens of the country. But no, that seems to not be the talking point. So that's kind of where we left some things off. There was some 2020 stuff. Actually, I would like to play this. Austin had their monthly city council meeting. Yes. And they're on Thursdays, which is sad because I can't really go. Although if I'd known that the schedule would eventually wind up ending 8 hours later than planned, i.e., I have a piece of audio here from 1 a.m, when finally item 77 came up, which was the homeless, or as we say on the show, say the unhoused ordinance, camp anywhere, which is not entirely everywhere. You can't camp on city grounds, but it has increased.
Aren't the sidewalks city grounds technically?
No. That is not. No. In fact, that is exactly what came up in this. I mean, there were a couple of things that happened in this, because only 10 people are allowed to speak, and they put it on video, and it's and it's archived, but nothing's really great. If the audio's not good, I'll cut the segment. I think it's good enough for you to listen to. I just want you to kind of hear how the citizens are looking at this, and then the city council. And this is one gentleman who showed up, and I think he has a poll with 25, or a petition with 25,000 signatures on it, and he's just there saying, "Hey, could you please turn that law back, or the ordinance back to what it was, because now we have people pooping on the street, essentially."
And this city has far more litter today than it did a month ago. And I think anyone that denies that...
Now, can you hear this at all? Is it worth it to play this?
Play it for a while, and I'll let you know if you have to stop.
Is denying reality. They also create human waste. Anyone who camps, anyone who sleeps, is creating human waste. And since now homeless people are allowed to sleep and camp in public, not here at City Hall, I'll point out, but anywhere else in public, except for city parks, they're creating human waste. And the photos and the videos that I get sent that are shared on social media, that are taken in real time, are shocking, truly shocking. So there's a profound public health concern here as well. Third, I don't see how this is a good policy for tourism. Our downtown is thriving, and I think we all take pride in that fact. We have people from all over the world that are coming here. It is simply not good for tourism to have this be the image of Austin that people are seeing, that we are trying to effectively emulate the policies that we see in cities like Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in Seattle, in Honolulu. I'm here tonight carrying the voices of the people who have signed our petition. I'm asking you, I guess at the August 22nd meeting, to undo this policy. This is not a solution to the problem. Thank you all.
Okay, so I think you could understand enough of it. What the guy is saying is, we are now adopting the policies, and he said San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, and he said Honolulu.
Yeah.
I didn't know Honolulu had...
I don't know this either, but it wouldn't surprise me. It could be a Soros sister running the thing.
Yeah.
This is what the problem is.
Well, then... And this retort is what I was surprised by. One of the city council members, that would be District 1's Greg Cesar, he calls the guy back, and I'll just set it up for you. And he's like, you said not in front of City Hall. This is a big point of contention with everybody. It's like, you can camp and poop anywhere you want, but not in front of City Hall. And this guy's going to correct him on the record, which only shows you the arrogance and makes it worse of what's these elites. And they're not even elites. They're elites that fell upwards into the city council.
Wannabe elites.
Oh, my God. They're the worst, especially this Greg Cesar. And he's not my district, but here he calls the guy back.
I have a couple of questions for Mr. Kumakoget. Good evening. Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
You brought up tonight, and then several times I've seen or heard saying you can camp anywhere, not at City Hall, and then just now, and not at city parks, but also not at libraries or recreation centers or at the Capitol or at the governor's mansion. Are you aware of that?
Not aware of those locations, no. I'm aware that private property, city parks, and City Hall were exempt. I was not aware of those additional exemptions.
It's not an exemption, it's just city facilities generally that have curfews, like libraries and parks and the Capitol and the governor's mansion.
Okay.
So can you commit to making sure that you spread that information accurately?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So the guy is perturbed that the public doesn't know that not only can you not camp and poop at City Hall, but also the Capitol and the governor's mansion. So just so you know, that's disinformation by omission, pal. What the fuck? He's making it worse. There's more places that you cannot camp that are not accessible to the public per se. But it's government, it's us. So you can't camp there. Am I misreading this, or is this guy just an elitist prick?
Well, I don't think he's much of an elitist. He's just a prick.
We'll take it. And then they got into a little altercation.
When you bring up that there's going to be more human waste, I still don't quite understand how it is that ticketing or arresting someone for merely being outside reduces homelessness and therefore reduces human waste from folks that don't have a...
Okay, so I'll set this up and I'll let it play. So what this council member is saying is, I don't see what difference it makes in where people poop versus a month ago. So to tell me what's going on with the human waste situation is, to paraphrase, like, what is your problem with now that people can poop anywhere in front except City Hall? What is the problem?
Bathroom to go to, or how that reduces violence. And so I really hope that we don't conflate those things when I just don't understand and still haven't seen how it is that recriminalizing those behaviors is going to reduce the violence that you pointed out or reduce the health issue that you've pointed out.
Sure, can I respond to that? So on the waste issue, what I would say is that the difference is now this is happening in public. It's happening on sidewalks. It's happening,
Where was it happening before? Inside their homes they don't have?
Well, it's happening wherever they congregate. A lot of times it happens under overpasses, under bridges. These are not...
So where was it happening in June?
Pardon me?
So where was it happening in June?
What I'm saying is, if you walk through downtown now or in other neighborhoods, it's now becoming a problem for citizens who are walking to school, walking their dog, walking in their neighborhood, to an extent that it wasn't before.
Where were folks going to the bathroom in June?
I don't listen. If you're asking me, like, where do homeless people congregate in this city?
No, I'm not asking you that question. You said that there's more human waste and that it's causing a health issue.
Right.
Where were they going to the bathroom in June?
What I'm saying is that
can you believe this? Can you believe this is what they're discussing? He's saying, well, where'd they go to the bathroom a month ago? What is wrong with these people? This is insane.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
I know, but it's like he said it right up front. This is the policy that LA and San Francisco and apparently Honolulu are adopting. Why are we doing that? His answer is, well, where were they pooping before? It's like, we need a poop report. I mean, what is going on?
Research needs to be done.
Yeah. Yes, we need a steering committee to track the poop habits. Anyway, what the city of Austin and all the brilliance have done is they have voted yes on forming a corporation which will run the new shelters. So, all right, good. I'm sure that'll work out fine. And I will keep you updated on Austin poop epidemic.
Well, wish I could just get more people to move there.
It's too expensive here. People don't want to be here now. It's not working out.
Well, then Santa Monica.
Now let's talk about mental illness for a moment, as it links to the mass shooters. The president came out, and the way I took his statement was, it's mental health. It's being mental health is a problem. Combine that with the violent video games and social networks and hate, something about hate, and we have to stop hate, and we'll have red flag laws. And I didn't like anything that he said. The mental health part, I can see a valid point. People are saying, well, you're stigmatizing mental health, and I think there's a validity to that. I don't necessarily personally think that mental health is the issue. I would say the issue is what is being prescribed to people who have mental health issues. It is the medication that comes with fair warning on the bottle and says, you may become violent, you may become suicidal, you may become more depressed than you were. And that is what doesn't seem to be investigated. But on Democracy Now!, they had and I know I'm in your turf here, they had on a lady who was a member of affirmresearch.org, and she's an emergency room doctor, so I do not believe she is a psychologist or psychiatrist. Affirm is the American Foundation for Firearm Injury Reduction in Medicine, a nonprofit corporation comprised of healthcare professionals and researchers working together to find lasting solutions to curb the epidemic of firearm violence across the United States, which is never explicitly mentioned in the intro or in this or in the interview, that they are basically an anti-gun organization. Very small, formed in 2018, no 990 published yet. Looks like they have maybe $14,000 in donations over all of 2018. And she had a couple of, I think, valid things to say about mental health as it comes to violence, but also would tell a clue there that we're on the right track with the true issue with these apparent mass shooters and mental health / medication.
For more, we're going to Dr. Megan Ranney, one of the authors of the Time article, The Dangers of Linking Gun Violence and Mental Illness. She's an emergency room doctor, associate professor of emergency medicine at Alpert Medical School, Brown University, and chief research officer at Affirm Research, a nonprofit focused on firearm injury reduction. Welcome to Democracy Now! It's great to have you with us, Dr. Ranney. So if you can respond to President Trump immediately saying it's not guns, it's mental illness that pulls the trigger.
So that is just false. The mass shootings that we're experiencing across the United States, the vast minority of them are committed by people with serious mental illness. About 20% of Americans across the country suffer from mental illness. And as you mentioned, they are far more likely to be victims of violence than perpetrators themselves. Where they're most at risk is risk of suicide. As you said, 2/3 of gun deaths across this country are suicides. And by labeling mass shootings as mental illness, we risk further stigmatizing the mentally ill, driving them away from treatment, increasing the rates of suicide, and also preventing us from making forward progress on this epidemic.
Well, Dr. Ranney, can you explain how did this link come about that basically all these mass shootings in the U.S. are a result of mental illness? It's not an obvious conclusion to draw.
Yeah, I mean,
by the way, I know that to me was like, what are you? That's not an obvious conclusion. Yeah, it wasn't. But here, her answer contains, I think, the truth.
Illness. It's not an obvious conclusion to draw.
Hold on a second. Stop it again. What is this woman thinking? What is the obvious conclusion to draw?
Trump.
Oh,
Trump.
Guns.
Guns. Trump. Guns. Hate. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're right on that.
Forward progress on this epidemic.
Well, Dr. Ranney, can you explain how did this link come about that basically all these mass shootings in the U.S. are a result of mental illness? It's not an obvious conclusion to draw.
That really is showing an enormous bias in your reporting.
Well, not only that, but does she ever see that Aurora guy when he was in court for the first time, or Lanza, or these guys, these characters that were mentally
guns,
ill?
No, they had guns. Bushmaster, AR-15.
Unbelievable.
They can't see past it. All right, here comes her answer.
In the U.S. are a result of mental illness. It's not an obvious conclusion to draw.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we want to assign blame somewhere. And in common conversation, you'll hear people say, oh, that guy must have been crazy, right? It seems, quote unquote, crazy to go and shoot a lot of people. It's something that's been repeated over and over by the news media. About 40% of articles about mass shootings mention mental illness as a cause. It's something that we've come to believe as a nation, but the evidence does not support that link. It supports a link between substance use and mass shootings, a link between hatred and mass shootings, a link between prior violence and mass shootings, but not with mental illness.
Did you catch it?
With substance abuse?
That's not what she said. That's what I thought the first time, too. She says
what did she say?
About mass shootings mention mental illness as a cause. It's something that we've come to believe as a nation, but the evidence does not support that link. It supports a link between substance use and mass.
Substance use.
Substance use.
What is a substance? Fucking the medication you're given. That's the substance. She didn't say illegal substances. No, substance use. So there may be evidence of that, although I've never seen said evidence because it doesn't seem to get studied or published. But she clearly said substance use, and she's the expert.
All right.
And I think there's probably something to that. Although this is not effective, if you want to, start a campaign against guns and in a roundabout way say no, mental health has nothing to do with this. We all know it's hatred and easy access to guns.
Easy access to the guns.
You want to do it right? You do it the way a presidential candidate does it, ladies and gentlemen. you do it like the Yang man.
More than a dozen presidential candidates are in Iowa speaking at a gun control forum. And CNN's Arlette Saenz joins us live in Des Moines. Arlette, what have been some of the breakout moments you've seen there?
Well, Anna, over the course of this day, you've heard from 16 of the Democratic presidential candidates here in person at this gun reform forum. And really, they've been laying out their vision for how to solve this issue relating to gun violence in this country. There was also a very emotional moment just a short while ago with Andrew Yang when he was asked, a woman asked a question and noted that her young child was killed by a stray bullet. Take a look at that moment that happened just a short while ago.
I have a 6 and 3-year-old boy. I was imagining it was one of them that got shot and the other saw it. That scene that you described, I'm sorry, it's like very, very affecting. You're right that when there's a gun in the household, you're more likely to have a child get shot or the owner get shot than to kill, let's say, an intruder into the house.
Man. Pretty good for a first-timer.
Yeah, another bandied about bromide.
But he was crying, John.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't Yang, though, was it?
Yes, that was Yang crying.
What?
Oh, hello. Did you hear my intro? Yes.
I heard the intro, and I thought you were playing a guy crying.
No,
and then
that's actually Andrew Yang. Listen again.
Well, play the whole clip again.
No, I'm not going to play the intro. I'll play him. Here we go. Listen.
I have a 6 and 3-year-old boy. I was imagining it was one of them that got shot and the other saw it. That scene that you described, I'm sorry, it's like very, very affecting. You're right that when there's a gun...
That's Andrew. Yeah, I saw the video, so I know it's him.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get it now. I retuned my ears.
Yeah.
Yes.
For a first timer.
Catch.
How could you not catch
like
it?
John Boehner.
Oh, yeah. Well, then surely people will make fun of him. And then finally, on this whole...
Well, they won't make fun of Yang. They made fun of Boehner because he's a Republican.
No, I know. That's why I'm saying they'll make fun of him, knowing that they won't.
Don't cry.
Exactly. Judge Napolitano, no fan of President Trump. At least, I don't know. Is he a fan now, or was he not a fan? He's not a fan in this clip.
He's still irked, but by not getting appointed any judge.
He's not a Supreme Court justice. I'm sure he's pissed off about that. But I agree with a lot of what he's saying about this red flag law and all this crap the president was talking about. We're going to find hate on social networks. Well,
by the way, I want to mention the red flag law thing, which I didn't pay as close attention to as I could have when you were too wound up.
You actually said perhaps hysterical, and I listened to the show later. I'm like, F you, Dvorak, F you. Yeah, nice.
Well, what are you going to do? You missed it.
No, you missed it.
You when I said it.
No, you missed it because you weren't even listening to my hysterics.
I was listening. So apparently that this is already a law just about to be passed in California.
Oh yeah, it's already set up, and he's on board.
It's abhorrent.
And I think there's another one, HR 838. The Threat Assessment Prevention and Safety Act of 2019. There's a number of things set up and good to go, and I don't think I would suspect that some of his base is not liking this at all. I don't like Fourth Amendment encroachment at all. So this snooping you out online and and colluding.
This is Castro's Cuba.
Colluding with the social networks, and who knows what's going to come out of it, but I don't like it. I don't like the threat. I don't like that the president's doing this, although apparently he wasn't even at the meeting. So I don't know. But then you talk about the red flag laws, and we're going to find, if someone said, well, listen to Judge Napolitano, a almost Supreme Court justice.
Republican Senator Pat Toomey telling me earlier on Fox Business that a lot of his Republican colleagues are indeed now rethinking some of their previous no votes on gun control legislation and the like. But our Judge Andy Napolitano says a lot of those proposed laws won't hold up to constitutional muster. He joins us right now. Judge, what do you mean?
Well, Neil, good afternoon. It's always a pleasure to be with you. The proposal that the president offered the other day is called a red flag law. That's a law by which the federal government would pay the states to change their state laws so that anybody who wants to raise a red flag, my next door neighbor's a little crazy, but he has a gun. I think you should come and take it away from him, can cause the gun owner to be dragged into court. In some states, the gun is taken away before there's a hearing. And then the hearing decides whether or not the gun owner might abuse it in the future. That's the serious constitutional problem, Neil, because in this country, it's been this way for 230 years now. The presumption of innocence and the due process requirements mean you can only be punished for something you've done in the past, not something you might do in the future.
But you did say, though, that, and it was a brilliant column, we were looking at this, you said you can do it on the basis of a fear of what a person might do. But what if relatives or friends are telegraphing authorities, hey, we're worried. We don't like what we're seeing. It concerns us greatly. That was the case of the mother of the shooter in El Paso, telegraphing local officials, should he own a gun? I mean, what's the deal?
And this reporting is also a little sketchy. I read this in a couple places, but do we have any proof that she indeed informed or questioned her son's ownership of a gun to authorities?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
You know, when these tragedies happen, there's a natural instinct. I myself have this instinct for the government to want to do something to keep us safe. God forbid something like this should happen again. And now we see that there were red flags. There were warning signs for both Dayton, Ohio and El Paso. But the supreme law of the land is the Constitution. And the Constitution simply does not permit taking a right away because somebody fears it might be abused in the future. When the Supreme Court last looked at the right to keep and bear arms, it called it a fundamental individual liberty. That's in the same category as speech and privacy and religion. That is the highest category of rights. It can't be taken away because the government fears you might abuse it. It can only be taken away if you have committed a crime.
No, there you go. So I don't know how this is going to work, but
It's unconstitutional.
Of course it is. But I'm with Napolitano all the way on this.
But California, apparently, the way their law is written, is if you turn somebody in just because you just hate them,
you get a bonus.
No, but that there's no check mark against you. They get put on a list, and if they try to get off the list and they try to condemn the other person for calling them out, as a nutball, and it can be shown that you're not a nutball in any way, and this neighbor just hates you, but they're deciding just to make your life miserable because it's a lousy neighbor, which is always possible. That's too bad. Too bad for you.
You're on the list, and that's it. And now you're on the list. No guns for you. You can't buy one. You have to give them up,
nothing.
Or what's going to happen there?
Pretty much. And the other person's scot free, even though the whole thing could be a scam.
Now, just so I understand, states individually can make almost any law they want. Correct?
No, because there's one law in the Constitution and in one of the amendments that finally said that all states are subject to the same. They're subject to the same U.S. Constitution at the very end of the day. At the end of the day.
Okay, so then how was California able to have a so-called assault weapons ban for a decade? Because that was only California, wasn't it, or was it federal? I thought it was just California.
I don't know that California has an assault weapons ban.
It's gone, but they had it for 10 years.
Well, why is it gone?
Well, it had a sunset, and they looked at it and said didn't help at all, and then said, okay, well then we're not going to renew it because it didn't make any difference.
You have to talk. We need a lawyer on the show.
Oh, where's a constitutional lawyer? We need one right now as soon as possible.
But they're subject to the same Bill of Rights and everything else.
Anyway, what is the president thinking? This is not going to be a very popular stance, his ideas on this.
No, it's dumb. I think he just shooting his mouth off as usual.
No, it was
business.
It was a written statement, the same one that had the 88 code for the Nazis.
That guy.
Right?
I'm thinking you might be right
well,
about
hold
this.
on. Maybe they drugged the president up because he sure looked like and sounded drugged.
He does sound drugged a lot.
And just read this and they go, all right, Nazi 88 and Toledo and red flags and got to do it. Video games hate. It's maybe they've got him on some program.
You wouldn't know.
May I question this? Actually, that was not a good moment for the president. So I wonder what they're doing with him. That whole speech was a tipping point of something in my mind.
Well, we'll see. See where it goes. Probably it's going to go like everything else, nowhere.
You mean the red flag laws?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of chatter. Yeah, and then there's nothing.
All right. Isn't that just to get people to buy more ammo?
It's definitely, every time something like this crops up.
Native ad, basically.
As soon as there's a big shooting and everyone's get all concerned about gun control, that's the time you invest in gun stock.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they always skyrocket after that.
Yeah.
I bought 10 more guns.
All right.
You need all these guns for? And by the way, I will say this. When you see somebody the guy had a lot of guns. And so they show a collection of guns. If a guy does not have the same, 10 copies of the same exact gun, he's not arming himself for some Armageddon. He's a gun guy. He likes to have a bunch of different guns and go to the range. And
you mean so if they just show a stock footage of a bunch of guns?
Yeah, it's always a bunch of random guns. There's no two guns the same.
Right.
This is not a guy who's a danger. He's an enthusiast.
Yeah, you'd like a platform, like one kind of weapon that you can interchange parts. Sure, that makes sense.
So I'm always dubious. I see this. He's always a gun. He's going to kill everybody. He's got all these different guns.
I got to say,
two guns alike.
Yeah, I was watching the Eggstein video, the ABC video. And as they're narrating, he was rushed to the hospital, and they showed a dramatized snippet of video, maybe 2-3 seconds long, that was clearly from I don't know what's a Chicago 911 or something, where you see a gurney being rushed through the halls of a hospital. Had nothing to do with any actual live footage. They just threw it in there. And I caught it immediately, but. That really sets people's thinking, when you put in that kind of dramatized footage into a news report. I thought it was bizarre.
Huh. Well, I didn't see it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I know.
It doesn't sound. It seems like they're just trying to trigger people. Okay, I got a story here that's just a one shot, but it was concerning to me.
Very good. You caught it. You caught yourself. I'm proud of you.
Cashless millennials.
Ooh, they must be in great numbers.
So let's talk about this. We know fewer and fewer Canadians are going out and taking out huge amounts of money to carry around in their wallet all week to make their transactions. How significant has the shift been lately?
Well, more than we expected. We conduct research regularly. Payments Canada runs infrastructure for payments in Canada as well as sets the rules across the country. And we're modernizing that. And to make sure that we modernize so that we meet Canadians' needs, we do research. And what we have found is that the way we pay is changing. And millennials are out in front. In many ways, they're leading us on what we can expect in the future. There are 3 trends that we see happening. One is a lot less use of cash. The millennials, as a category, over 50% use cash less than 4 times a month. That's once a week. And that is dramatically up from last year when it was 20%. So we're seeing a massive shift away from cash. The second is 3/4 of millennials make a purchase decision online in order based on the payment experience rather than only the product. So they are choosing where to shop based on how easy it is to make the payment.
Wow.
Hello, Amazon.
Yeah. Last night we had a couple friends over for dinner, and one of our friends has a bar. It used to be his dad's bar. It's in Houston. It's actually, I don't know if he wants me to, it's a well-known bar. And so already business had been impacted by Hurricane Hugo. But he said, this business is over. Your local bar is over. He says, I don't think we can stay afloat maybe another couple of years. because of the change in society. I said, well, what do you mean? He says, the damn millennials. I said, what's up? He says, people no longer congregate in the local bar. They don't come to the local bar. They're all on Instagram, and that's where they have their connection. And he said the second reason you'd come to a bar, which is to hook up, is been removed by the dating apps. He said that no one goes out to local bars anymore. It's over. He said, I think, at this point, we're just going to get driven out because the landowner will see that he's, got kind of a fixed rent situation going on, could make more by selling it to put up another condo complex. And, they'll raise the rate 3 times, like happened in Austin with Threadgills, and boom, it's gone. I'm not blaming millennials, but that is the trend.
This is debatable. There's plenty of bars, the ones typically now orchestrated by the millennials themselves. It's a new kind of bar.
Okay.
It's a bar. There's plenty of them around here. They're usually hipster bars, and they have a kind of solution. They're packed, by the way, mostly with millennials. This is what he's running. Somebody's running an old funky bar.
Yeah.
That is just out of vogue. I mean, there's these old stinky, I would call them stinky,
but I think
smoke-filled, crappy old bars that nobody wants to go to.
I think specifically it's the local bar, and I think that you'll find that the millennials are going for not a local bar, but a concept where they can still Instagram cool pictures. And I don't know if they're
that's not true either. Because we have Albany, which is right next to Berkeley, is a bar town. It's got a lot of bars. And there's a few local bars that have been shuttered. But most of them have adapted, and they've changed, and they've modernized, and they've hipsterized.
So what is the new format?
They do an outstanding business. I mean, there's one place, the really old Hotsy Totsy Club, which has been there forever, was taken over by hipsters. Now they have a taco truck parked outside where you can go get a taco, go inside, have one of many beers and high-end liquors. The old farts don't go there anymore because they can't afford it. But the millennials who seem to spend too much money on things that you could find cheaper or frequent the place. And another place, which is in Albany, which is called the Ivy Room, which is really a funky old place that is turned into a blues club. And still, they've modernized. I mean, these other places, if it's a stinky old cigar smoke. Oh, I'm down on my luck.
Yes.
Hey, babe, what are you doing tonight? And a hooker comes in.
Yes.
Those places are over.
Yes, exactly. I'll be sure to tell him what he needs to do. So let's see.
Well, he needs to sell the place.
We need to get a whole bunch of expensive beer, jamming some picnic tables. What else do we do that really works with the millennials?
Yeah, picnic tables is a good one. But that's true. It's true.
Well,
I've seen those
for
places.
sure,
they got picnic tables everywhere.
For sure, the new hip places are where you can find fellow no agenda-ites at these meetups. We have a meetup report coming after this second donation segment.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And we have some more people to thank, starting with Sir Bruce Wilkie, $150. And he's looking for a birthday shout out for his father, Bruce Sr. We've got him on the list.
We do.
We got some other stuff in there. Michael Sislow in Rotonda, West Florida, another $150 donor. He needs to call Paul Gitt a wanker, but he means douchebag.
Okay.
Douchebag. For some reason, he says he thinks the word wanker gives your show some extra class.
Thanks. That's right. We've shot up on the class meter.
Anonymous procrastinator, $132. Ken Burkett in South Lake, Texas, 12345. John Oman in Petaluma, California. He was at the meetup, 12321, and I realized it was an oxymoron.
Ah, yes,
it's a cute 1212321. Christopher Pythud in Buckeye, Arizona, 11111. Helia Diosarin or something in Margate, Florida, Enjoys the show. Needs jobs karma and house karma. We'll give you that at the end. Chris Richardson, Sir Semicolon in Palmer, Arkansas. 100.
And he has
David Boswell.
I think he has a.
Oh, he has a call out. Yeah.
And let me see.
Haven't donated in a while. Here's 100. Please put on Falls Felix Wilson's tab. His dad is a douchebag and needs all the help he can get.
Yeah, I'm not going to call out Sir Chris Wilson as a douchebag. No way.
Yeah, of course not. Well, he's talking about Felix Wilson's the kid.
Yeah, his dad is a douche.
Oh, his dad's not a
I'm not going to douche him.
Nah. Out. That's been rejected and vetoed. David Boswell in Georgetown, Texas, $100. Yeah. Michael Levin, $100 from Parts Unknown. By the way, David Boswell says, Curry for mayor.
Yes, and I'm going to bring in my friend from the Build the Dome project.
You're going to run for mayor?
No, no.
Yes,
absolutely
yes,
not. No,
yes.
Nope. Not going to happen. No way. It's so obvious that you, as mayor, you're powerless. We have much more power with the microphone.
You can do both.
You hear that, Mayor Adler? I'm coming for you.
You can do both.
No, not unless you move here and you run my campaign.
I could do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Michael Levin, Michael Levin's 100. Daniel Walraven in
Walraven
in Riethoven, Netherlands.
Riethoven.
I love your show, and in the process of getting my wife loving it too. Well,
go right. Careful.
Justin Wagner in DeWitt, Iowa, 100. Anonymous, 8888. Richard Flux, 8888. William Alston, 8888. We got a lot of these. Dennis Garcia, 8888. These are
still congratulations. Yeah, anniversary donations. Yes.
I got 4 of them. Sir Brian Tobiason in Gardner, Kansas, 8808.
Hold on, Dennis Garcia needed a de-douche, so I'll make sure he gets that.
You've been de-douched.
Good.
Yeah, Dennis Garcia has got a name. Garcia is misleading. He's French. He was at the meetup.
Oh,
Very
nice.
interesting guy. We talked about food. Got into an argument with somebody about French versus, I forget what it is.
Well, he is now
some cuisine that's terrible.
He is now the second Frenchman to donate ever. So,
well, lives here. He's a dude named Ben.
Doesn't count. Okay, all right.
Sir Brian Tobiason in Gardner, Kansas, 8808, and he's got no explanation for that number.
Well, he says my wife and I were married on 080808. And I was too busy planning our night that I forgot about yours. Thank you for your courage and keep up the good work, gentlemen. Well, thank you very much, Sir Brian.
Well, that's good. Alexander Sulzberger in Deutschland.
Now, he's the only boob donation, but does not have a boo-boo to talk about, so he's probably just looking at boobs.
Could be. I do have this note here I wanted to read. It was a meetup guy. And he said, I had to do this. This was because it was a nice note. It was John and Adam. Please, that was a de-douching from. I've already put that. Who had the de-douching? That was Dennis. Well, Dennis wasn't from Dennis, was it? No.
Yeah, Dennis had a de-douching.
Yeah, it was Dennis. He's the data janitor of Noe Valley. He also has a request for some job karma, and we'll put that at the end. I just want to make sure that's clear.
Yep.
He says he ran into his Adam. You know a voiceover actor named, it's either Jerry or Jemmy. I met him in Ibiza. He says he knows you.
Oh.
Interesting guy. He's the first flat earther I met.
Well, maybe we met at the meeting, but I don't know him as a voiceover artist.
All right. Sholesbury, we're at Matthew Mungan, 69. Sir Don, Baron of New Hampshire, 6666. You can't read M5M anymore. No, who can? Thomas Miller in Naperville, Illinois, 6611. Sir Craig Porter, the Ronin, 6006. I love small boobs, he says. ITM. Sonia Castillo, 60. Nancy Murphy, 5721. Sir Adam of the Coke Empire. Huh. Okay. Interesting. John Tennis, Knight of the Black Telecaster, 5533. Raleigh Hawk in Anna, Illinois, 5510. Rory Semmelroth, 5333. And he was a attendee in Murfreesboro. William Wellborn in Kennesaw, Georgia, 5033. And the following people are $50 donors, name and location. Ready? Matt Bolke. I think it's Bolke, yeah. Our buddy Drew Mochak over here in El Cerrito. Dennis Covell, Douglas Ingstrom, Robert DeCaney in Fairfax, Virginia. Roy Tenhava in Pine Knocker, Holland.
Well done.
Jonathan Ferris in Liberal, Kansas. Kimberly Redmond in Toronto, Ontario. Yeah. Okay, good. It's not who I thought it was. Sir F. That guy in St. Louis, Missouri. Sir.
Yep, that's that guy.
Andrew Kloss, parts unknown. Stephen Kirkpatrick in Langley, Washington. Hold on a second. All right. Anonymous of Antioch, California, in Antioch, California. I do have another one, which is that's stuck in between here, which is I think there's also anonymous, and it's $50 from Lodi, Wisconsin. So I want to thank all these folks for helping us with show 1163.
Yes, and as you heard
Good work, people.
Yes, as you heard from Jen Briney, host and producer of the Congressional Dish podcast on C-SPAN, and according to the Mueller report, we have perfected the value for value model. In fact, we instigated it, and this is the result. We can live another week. Thank you very much. It's your show. You're the producers. You supply us with pretty much everything. We do package it up. I think we do a decent job. That's the value we create, we provide, and we love it when people give us value in return. And that, of course, also goes for our executive producers, associate executive producers, people on the subscription list, which is all under $50. We don't mention them for time reasons. Today was longer than usual because of our opening segment. And as well, people like to remain anonymous, but we really appreciate it. And we'll do it all over again on Thursday. Please remember us at
Dvorak.org/NA
as requested.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
It's your birthday.
Yes, today is the 11th of August, 2019. On the list today, Dame Drea and Lord M of the Mid-Valley say happy birthday to their oldest daughter, Estelle Ivy. She turns 16 tomorrow. Stephanie Meyer says happy birthday to her amazing husband, Sir GQ, 33 tomorrow as well. Sir Bruce Wilkie says happy birthday to his father, Bruce Sr. And Aaron Chamberlain says happy birthday to Laura Chamberlain. Well in advance, but well intended on the 30th. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. Woo!
Come gather round, douchebag, producer and slave, as we all thank your brothers and sisters who gave, and some of them nights, some of them dames, for the titles are a-changing.
Finally, we have some real title changes on the list. Sir Patrick of the Enormous Noggins has now become the Viscount of Ohio, and Mark Colin is now shall be known as the Baronet of East Lake City and the newly arisen Marker Varden of the Netherlands. Both of you, thank you very much for your additional contribution of $1,000 to the best podcast in the universe. We have two knightings, and I will seat Stephanie Meyer at the table. She can give us her chosen name later, but I've reversed my initial decision and feel that she should be inducted into the No Agenda Roundtable on today's episode. So I've got my blade here at the ready, Sir Dvorak. Yes. Oh, beautiful. Thank you. So up on the podium, we need Stephanie Meyer, Brian Holcomb, and Stephen Conkle. The three of you have joined the elite ranks of the No Agenda Knights and James, and that is due to your contribution of $1,000 or more. And I am proud to pronounce the KB Sir Rosis of Brookhaven, Georgia, Sir Rillian, Knight of the Santa Clara Valley, and Dame Stephanie. Dame named to be filled in at a later time. For you, we have Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys, and Chardonnay. We've got Dirt Cakes and a Sixer of Tropicalia IPA. We got pepperoni rolls and pale ales. We got breast milk and Pablum sparkling cider and escort, ginger ale and gerbils and mutton and mead. And your night ring, your sealing wax. It is, after all, a signet ring, and your official certificate can be obtained by going to noagendanation.com/rings, giving Eric the Shill all of your information, or at least the ones pertaining to your ring size, and he will get that out to you as soon as possible. No agenda meetup. All right. So the meetups are becoming quite the thing. It seems that the meetups may be the only thing keeping these new millennial bars going. So we need to continue with that. Also, I've been requested to look for some WordPress administrative assistance, as Daniel, who's our dude named Daniel, who set up noagendameetups.com, could use some help because it got a lot of cool features. They really want to make this a kick-ass system. It's already much better than meetup.com, at least for our purposes. So you can email admin@noagendameetups.com. Then we have a quick report of the Murfreesboro meetup. Murfreesboro. This is from Rich. Had a great time this past Friday. It was such a varied group of people from different backgrounds: military, pharma, dude's name Ben, an owner of a professional Christmas lighting company, a guy from Kentucky with an encyclopedic knowledge of the different bourbons. Sounds like Koval to me. We're already setting up the next meetup just so we can get together again and learn more about each other. Thank you for your courage, Rich. So this is the kind of report that we hear from these meetups. And we have a couple that are coming up for the next week. August 14th, so Wednesday, Warsaw, Poland, at the Mikkeler Bar in Warsaw. And the meeting note to all the slaves in Warsaw, it's time for a meetup. The event will be on the second floor of the Mikkeler Bar in Warsaw. Details at noagendameetups.com. On the 15th, we have Michigan Local 1 midweek meetup at Dearborn, 5 to 9 p.m. You will be meeting at the Henry Ford Museum for Star Trek Happy Hour. Oh, yeah, baby. Why am I not in Michigan? There's also some food, and that will be Frida Mexican cuisine, and you can find the details on the No Agenda Meetup site. Then we have a meetup report from Southeast London. So they do regular meetups. I find that interesting. They love it out there. The previous meetup, approximately an hour and a half into the meetup, Alexei turned up. Approximately 20 minutes later, Robinonymous appears in True Dimension B style, replete with fluorescent yellow jacket and a battery-powered scooter. Oh my God, did he come to the right meetup? Semi-regular 80-year-old Chinaman Matthew interrupts the event. GWFF declares Matthew to be a globalist. Extensive triggering test of both attendees commences. Both pass with flying colors. Good time had by all, and such. This is it. This is what can. I'm not quite sure, but it sounds like it was good. Southeast London meetup 11. The amazing amygdala shrinking beer something roll up. That will be held on the 15th of August, the third Thursday of every month. Why? Because every no agender deserves the opportunity not to be triggered. It's at the Real Ale Way, and that's in Bromley in London. I think it's Kent. So look at the site for that. San Antonio in Texas, this Saturday, 3 to 7 p.m. San Antonio meetup at Big Hops on Bitters. Bring your own food. They do not have a kitchen. And there will be a table with Adam and John's heads on sticks, so you can't miss us. And finally, Sunday, the 18th, we have the Victoria, BC meetup, the prettiest little town on the West Coast. No Agenda Meetups, it's like a party. Come out and meet the NA listeners in town, share a beverage or two at the Tasting Room, and that's on Government Street in Victoria, BC, Scandinavia. So those are your meetups for the next week. Apparently, they're a lot of fun to go to, and we are going to attend as many as possible. John just did the impromptu one in Berkeley, and the Keeper and I will be attending some of these soon as well. NoAgendaMeetups.com. Wow, it's been a long show. I think we should do a couple more stories.
Well, let me read something first, which is important. This is from Paul Couture and our thing about the Drupal needed, and now I got to do this.
For noagendaartgenerator.com.
Yeah, this is you saw the message. He wanted somebody to help. He was going to give up on the whole thing. Well, apparently he's changed his mind.
Okay.
Very different. But I should read this note. Miss my life-o moment. He says, first off, I absolutely want to keep running the art generator. Okay. I'm sorry if you got the impression. We got the impression from your note and talking to you.
Yeah.
that I found it to be a burden. That, again, was provided by you. I have been quite swamped as me and a few partners have been diligently working to build, what is it? Let's say IWTV.live, and has led me to spending quite a bit of time on the highways and back roads in the beautiful country. Oh, gee, yet another Cracker Barrel and Walmart shopping center. Such diversity. To provide live streams at a rate 4x higher than the Goliath of our industry. Okay, well, then you were busy.
Yeah.
Second, and more importantly, I think, the Drupal site was moved to a Laravel base in mid-2014. Yeah, in mid-2014 for all the reasons you mentioned about Drupal's increasing insanity.
Oh.
So he's a top guy. I also moved the code base at that time to publicly forkable JIT repository. Git.
Wow.
Welcome pull requests.
Mr. Developer Dvorak.
And tweak experience.
How's your JIT repository?
It's a G. It's a soft G. It's always JIT. GIF.
No.
I thought I was writing GIF.
You should be
Finally,
consistent.
I've got a brand new. I am consistent. Finally, I got a brand new build coming soon. I've been waiting on Laravel 6 to drop, and I plan to use some of the crazy media manipulation skills I've picked up in the last 3 or 4 years, as I've had to become a bit of a crazed command line video, audio, and image editor to power some of the apps that make our network work. I was close to releasing the new build when Tyler Otwell announced version 6 of Laravel would be coming in the next weeks. I feel it'd be far better to let that roll out first to make sure I have the necessary changes done in development. He's one of these, he's like Void Zero. Something's new. With the crazy hours I have spent.
Something's new, install it. I think that's every dude named Ben who loves his job does this. So anyway,
he says as an aside that crazy former headless Drupal dev that now works on making a Netflix lookalike full of guys and gals play fighting in their underwear. Oh. I don't know what that means. Anyway, so
bottom line is
that's his new title. He's a former headless Drupal dev.
So we don't need any more help.
So
then?
We won't need anybody for the moment, but I do have your names. I'm putting you on a list, everybody.
Yeah,
There's about 6, 7, 8, 9 guys.
You know what? Hey, you sent this. You're now on a list. Okay, you're on the Drupal list. You're on the Drupal list. It could come in handy.
Sounds like it's not going to come in handy if Paul's gone over to Laravel. That he's not the only guy. I mean, this is like I think Drupal's being dumped.
I don't know. I haven't checked
Sounds
the latest.
Like it's me.
I'm gonna look at the latest JIT repository.
I'm not a Drupal guy, so I don't know. I never liked it to begin with.
I know. I'm still a JIT repository. I'm all jitty over it. I can't get over it. It's too good.
Yeah, you should be jitty.
Okay. We cannot let this show go by without showing you the gaffe machine that is Joe Biden. There's always a couple good ones. This week was no disappointment. The first one I would say is this.
We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts. So folks, if you're interested, join me. I could use the help.
I just love that the crowd loves it. We choose truth over facts.
Go get him, Joe.
We choose truth over facts. But then this one, which is really sad because it was a prompter misread. I saw it happen. Joe's reading. He misreads the prompter. He's supposed to say rich kids can do just as well as wealthy kids. But what's on his mind is, because he's racist, on his mind is rich, black, that word is white. Or he reads wealthy as white. Whatever it was, it came out as white.
Why? Yeah.
he tries to save it and then adds wealthy, because that was the word in the prompter. Wealthy, black, red, yellow, whatever. Here, listen.
And the other thing we should do is we should challenge these students. We should challenge students in these schools to have advanced placement programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids, wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it, but think how we think about it.
Same audience who thought that truth over facts was great. They're applauding the racism.
Fact over truth.
Yes.
Something.
No, it was truth over facts. Truth
that
over
was
fact.
bad.
But it was a prompter misread, and he tried to save it. But it's because it's on his mind.
He saved it okay. He saved it okay.
There was too much of a pause. And you just don't want to start with rich kids and then go to white. I mean, you can see the gap.
But I thought he saved it well for him.
Okay, well, make sure you vote for Joe.
It was too much of a pause, and it was obvious what was going on, but he did save it. So if you quoted him, you'd have to put the whole sentence in there, which included all the other stuff.
Yeah, but of course,
if you heard it, it's a gaffe.
So what happened? But this is not how the modern M5M political process goes. The modern process is, hey, soundbite.
No, everybody mocked.
Yeah. By the way, I did want to mention the statistic since I was reading Broadcast and Cable magazine. I do this all the time.
Why?
Because I get information, man. The 2020 election.
It's come to light?
Yes. Okay, here's a little game. The 2020 election will generate, and I'm not going to say the number, in local political ad spending. And they did this by estimating percentage increases over the last election. So it's fairly good. At Broadcast and Cable, they have to predict things reasonably well because they're an industry trade magazine. So how much do you think is being projected to be generated in local political ad spending for the 2020 election? Now, of course, take into account we have 25 Democratic hopefuls, so there's a lot of political ad spending. And this includes television, internet, or online, I think, as it's represented, and radio, etc. What do you think the total amount will be of local ad spend?
It's $3.5 billion.
$6.5 billion. And it breaks down as follows. Wow is right. Over-the-air television will get 40% of local political spending, or $3.08 billion. The next biggest share will go to online and digital outlets with $1.37 billion, representing a 21% share. Multi-channel video programming distributors will see $919 million, 14%. Radio will get $312 million, or 4.8%, with the remainder going to other media. Oh, yes, podcasting expects to receive $7,500. I'm just kidding, it's not in there. Delayed. Here is what was interesting. Because these are local elections, and because I presume there's such a large base of Democrats running in the primary, the number one market for political advertising in 2020 is expected to be Los Angeles, with $368 million in spending. LA TV stations expected to rake in $168 million during the election, digital getting $76 million, cable $55 million, and radio a meager 70% of that total. So they are definitely getting some big money in this 2020 election in California. But that amount,
was never enough.
That $6.5 billion. Do you think that's people have seriously want to choose their leaders, don't they? I mean, that's not just coming from mom and pops with their $100 to Lizzie Warren. I mean, that's some real money.
And money's coming from every which way.
What does that mean?
And it's encouraged.
What do you mean every which way?
It's coming from big boys, little boys, moms, dads, moms, pops, large corporations.
Yeah.
Everyone. Pharma, banks, real estate.
Unbelievable. This, and how can anyone have one single message with all those? That's, you just got to say yes to everybody, and then hope you get in, and then I guess whoever gives you more money.
Then apologize.
Apologize a lot.
More money.
The system is sick, man.
If you gave us more money, it would be better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against.
Well, I do have some ISOs that I.
Well, I was gonna wrap.
Not against what?
I was gonna wrap it up with one last thing about Biden. This came from Fox Business News.
This is the week where markets began to price in the possibility of no deal with China before the election. We saw it happen. We saw the tick on Monday of that terrible drop when the reality of that seemed to settle in. Is the market right? No deal with China before the election?
Well, there's a good chance now of no deal. The president's been making a case that the Chinese see the Democrats as softer, much softer than he is on China trade, especially on enforcement. And so I checked with the Chinese myself, David, both their press and talking to Chinese individuals who advise the government. They do believe that Biden will win. They've got polls and their own assessment. Interestingly enough to me, back in 2016, they said Trump will win. He will carry Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. And I said, no, that's not true. I'm sure Hillary's going to win. This is at some point in 2016. They were right. But this time they seem to believe that Biden's going to win. And that would explain the president's comments are probably accurate.
Now, could it all...
Well, there you go. The Chinese, maybe that's where part of that $6.5 billion comes from.
Yeah, that could be. Wouldn't be surprising.
I mean, there's always
Chinese to be all in.
There's always been the rumors that Obama got hundreds of millions through from China through credit cards.
Yeah, well, and also from Saudi Arabia through credit cards.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the sealed indictments, I guess.
It's exactly like that. I do have 3 ISOs I want you to consider.
Okay.
None of them really, except one of them is on the show. The other ones are just kind of things that are in the public domain that are floating around. I have the kill all men.
We need to kill all men.
Where does that come from?
Oh, that's from Jenny McDermott. She's a troller.
Yeah, I'll say.
And she did a whole spiel on
you sent me all
men.
Yeah,
it was quite good.
Yeah. You have a lot of time.
I was going to break it down today's show, but we didn't have time.
No, I'm glad we didn't. That's troller. All right, that's
now this one is harder to come by. This is a woman, it's a socialite, New York socialite stoner named with the last name of Mueller. And she has this I Feel Evil ISO, which I thought was really good, but I don't know if it's a good enough quality.
I know I feel evil, but I can't help it.
No, you're right. It doesn't work as an end of show ISO.
It's a shame. It was one of those concealed microphone things that are no good. And then I have the In the Morning from Jen Briney.
In the morning to you.
I personally like...
We need to kill all men.
I think that's an end of show ISO. I mean, that's
okay. I think so too.
Yeah,
I think you're right. It's the cleanest.
Yeah, and it's also the most accurate. Let's be honest. All right. Anything else?
Well, I do have one clip. Yeah. I do have one clip. A North Korea update, 37 seconds to help us keep up with that.
The South Korean military said today that North Korea fired what they believe to be 2 short-range ballistic missiles into the sea. Today's launches were the 5th in less than 3 weeks. The U.S. and South Korea are currently conducting joint military exercises, which North Korea calls war games. In tweets this morning, President Trump said that in a recent letter from North Korea, leader Kim Jong-un offered, quote, a small apology for testing the short-range missiles. The president said North Korea promised to stop the launches when the joint military exercises end. The U.S. and South Korea have scaled down combined drills since the first summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un in 2018.
Yeah, I thought they were going to do those mock practice things. With South Korea.
The military moaned and groaned in the military-industrial complex. We need to sell more missiles. We got to blow some up, or otherwise we won't sell more.
Oh, well, why does Trump let that happen? I'm telling you, man, they got him on some drugs. They got him on something. I don't know. They twirl something in front of his eyes. And I just don't understand that. Or maybe he's choosing his battles. I'm not sure. But I can understand where if you said, okay, we won't do that anymore, and then he does it, then Kim Jong-un's going to light his little model rockets, and it looks shit for everybody. Not as shit, though, as Jerry Nadler. This is just a short update. He is leading the impeachment charge, completely blown off the news cycle for now. So he's come up with a new way of explaining what he does, which is exactly the same thing, only now he's kind of adding a very transparent twist to it.
This is formal impeachment proceedings. We are investigating all the evidence, we're gathering the evidence, and we will, at the conclusion of this, hopefully by the end of the year, vote articles of impeachment to the House floor, or we won't. That's a decision that we'll have to make. But that's exactly the process we're in right now.
So the headline was formal impeachment proceedings, which is completely meaningless. And I don't know why he thinks that anyone's being fooled by this.
I don't know what it expects to accomplish. It's just going to anger people.
Well, and maybe even anger Nancy Pelosi. By the way, just as a last one, did you see AOC is now ripping her ex-chief of staff for divisive tweets about fellow Democrats? This is in the New York Daily News. So now she's distancing herself from him.
Pelosi really read the Riot Act.
Yeah,
Pelosi read the Riot Act to her, and she, I guess...
Yeah.
Did I fall apart?
Yeah, the last 15 minutes you've been falling apart. It's I don't know what's going on.
This is terrible. I'm putting a call in. I believe it's my connection.
Well, you know what we'll do? First of all, that's not often that you will admit it's your connection, so this is serious business, people. We'll have to end the show here.
That's because I know when it's my connection.
All right. That'll do it for today, but we will return on Thursday. I'm sure there's a lot to be deconstructed, broken down, discussed, and queried. I'll make sure I get Pachenik, either provide an update or maybe a clip or two, or we'll see what we do with that.
Weren't you supposed to ask him something? Weren't you supposed to ask him something specific? Never mind.
I'm sure I'll remember when I go through today's show. Coming to you from the frontier of Austin, Texas. It's the capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA Region Number 6, and all the governmental maps. Remember us for our show on Thursday at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, in the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, we're ahead of the Zephyr, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday, together and in sync, right here on No Agenda. Until then, adios, mofos, and such!
My name is Chris Wilson. I'm the father of young Felix Wilson. For the last 4 episodes, Felix has been exploited and made to beg for donations to our show. Whilst some of you have donated to our podcast, and we all thank you for this, some of you haven't donated, and this message goes out to you. To paraphrase Linda Sassour from our last episode, your shit, give us money. Go to Dvorak.org/NA and donate now. Check your wallet, not your privilege.
But think how we think about it. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna give you the whole load today. If you agree with me, go to Joe 30330 and help me in this fight. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it, but think how we think about it. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts. Are you joking? Is this a joke? 30330. 3-letter word. Jobs. 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 There's no doubt about them staying oiled and lubricated here. If I'm elected president, you're going to see the single most important thing that changes America is we're going to cure cancer. And I just want you to know I had permission to hug Lonnie. Jobs. 30330. But think how we think about it. Jobs. 30330.
5330. Are you joking? Is this a joke?
It's pronounced jiff, according to the guy who invented the word.
It's pronounced jitty, according to the guy who invented the word, Al Sharpton.
Democrats are outright jitty.
They got all jitty with it.
Jitty.
They're getting jitty.
Getting jitty. Getting all jitty.
Jitty.
They got all jitty with it.
They're getting jitty.
Getting jitty.
Jitty. They're all jitty about a shutdown.
Podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
We need to kill all